CutDown.com. WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. Take us with you on radio, web, app, Alexa, and YouTube. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports leader.
I'm WRAL meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner. The heat's our big story for the next several afternoons. This afternoon, a high of 97, feeling like around 100. 73 tonight, and we're back to 98 again tomorrow. Also feeling like low 100s, but by Thursday, it could feel like as hot as 107, and we could see a heat advisory.
Weather update brought to you by Newcomb & Company, where your comfort is their business. Visit newcombandcompany.com. 3 o'clock, check if your money. Dow Jones is up 11 points to 41,252. Market update brought to you by Copa Airlines. Fly Copa Airlines from RDU to Latin America and get 2 vacations in one. Enjoy a stopover in Panama for up to 7 days with no extra airfare. Book your Panama stopover today at copa.com. That's COPA.com.
Young, who's setting up the throw over the middle, wide open, touchdown as the Panthers tight end, the veteran Jordan Matthews, scores on the opening drive for Carolina. And off to Boone, right up the middle, nobody touches him, into the end zone, 5-yard touchdown run by Mike Boone. Inside, on a slant, Marshall open at the 10 to the 5, and he finds his way into the end zone for the touchdown for the Panthers. Terrace Marshall, and a throw and a go ball, left side, looking for Coker, got it, perfectly thrown at the 5. Coker brings it in.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly on 99.9 The Fan.
It is The Drive with Tim Donnelly here on 99.9 The Fan. I'm Tim Donnelly, Dennis Cox producing the show. Today is not a fun day for NFL players. Now I'm saying NFL players. Obviously, the superstars, the first-round picks, they get to relax a bit. But for most of the NFL, today was a tough one. Until 4 o'clock, when it might become the making of your dreams. It is cut-down day in the NFL, which means every team which had 90 players on their roster at some point in time in the last month has to be down to 53 players on their active roster. We do know who the Panthers have chosen. We know who is still on the Panthers. We know who they've waived. But this is how I'm looking at today's waiver decisions for the Panthers. It's a big old to be determined. It's a big old do not celebrate too aggressively and also do not pout too aggressively. Right? We're going to talk about some of the players that they kind of surprisingly moved on from, or at least the standout names. And what I can tell you is the first 15, 16, 17, 18 names I heard that the Panthers were moving on from, releasing, or waiving, depending on their veteran status, was accompanied by it's a likely candidate for the practice squad, or it's a good candidate for the practice squad, or we'll see if they get waived or picked up somewhere else in the league. So those players had to deal with the, hey, coach wants to see you, bring your playbook, which is brutal, but now immediately go into hopeful mode of will they get a call tomorrow? Will they be claimed off waivers, or will they get the call to come back on the practice squad? So players that I think we've kind of fallen in love with this preseason, players like Jack Plummer, the quarterback who looked like a different – I don't even want to say quarterback, a different species.
Yeah, completely different.
From
completely different player from week 1.
Game 1 to preseason game 3. Technically, he's waived, right? He's cut. I have full expectations he's going to be on the Panthers practice squad.
For sure.
So it's not exactly like dream shattering. Somebody like Terrace Marshall Jr., who was also waived, a second-round pick out of LSU now 3+ seasons ago. He's cut. He's not coming back, right? The practice squad isn't a place for him because it's not really time to learn more about a player and develop him after that much time in the league. He's looking for a change of scenery, which he will get. So again, not end of the road for him. Second-round picks out of LSU have maybe not 9 lives. First-round picks have 9 lives. Second-round picks have 4.
At least.
And he's only used 2 or 3 of them.
Well, he's been through 3 head coaches in Carolina in his 3+ seasons there, so maybe he is on his 4th now, his 4th life possibly.
Possibly, or maybe even that buys him another because his agent is going to go shopping around saying, listen, they ruined him. They were not using him correctly. They had a different OC every year. You're the team that can unlock Terrace Marshall Jr.
It was interesting seeing how the reports where teams weren't interested in trading for him, at least even for like a conditional pick. It's like, you know what, we can just go ahead and just claim him for free.
I think that, everyone was well aware that the Panthers weren't going to have him on their opening day roster. And I mean, it's never been more obvious. They kept 7 wide receivers, and Terrace Marshall Jr. still got cut.
Yeah.
If you go back to, preseason game 2, when Mingo and Marshall played early and then were taken out for the second half.
Against the Jets.
And Marshall had his arm around Dave Canales. They were yucking it up on the sideline, chummy as old pals.
Yeah.
To go from there to not even top 7 on the wide receiver desirability rating, that seems like a long fall in 2 games, or a game and a half, I guess I should say. Other standouts that will not be on the original 53-man roster of the Panthers, tight end Jordan Matthews, fan favorite, locker room guy. Many of you remember him from his time as a wide receiver earlier in his career. Cornerback DiCaprio Bootle. The way the cornerback conversation broke down for the Panthers, once Dane Jackson got hurt, it became a really interesting situation where they had so many guys vying for playing time that it was like you could be in the mix to be like the third corner and also cut like 2 days later because there were 6 guys vying to be that third corner, that second corner. And so DiCaprio Bootle was, as in the mix as a Shao Smith-Wade. Now, Shao Smith-Wade being a draft pick is a little different, rookie draft pick, but still, like they were getting the reps, and now he's cut along with Lamar Jackson, who was in a similar situation. Some thought might play his way into a little bit of playing time. He was cut with an injury designation even before today.
Yeah, he's on injured reserve now.
Mike Boone, running back, not going to be on the original 53-man roster. He's another one who turns from oh no to fingers crossed. A lot of people believe the Panthers will be interested in bringing him back.
Yeah, give that about 24 hours and we'll have a different conversation.
And we'll have to talk about the waivers. I think a lot of these guys depend on who gets cut elsewhere and who might be available. Alex Cook, the safety, some believed he did some good things. He's out. It really is it's a bummer for these guys. I think a lot of, at least those ones we just mentioned, will have other shots in the NFL. I have 29 names in front of me that were either waived or outright released because they're veterans. Most of them are going to have a hard time picking up elsewhere. It's going to be touch and go. Will you make the practice squad? Some of them expected to return on that practice squad, but it's really up in the air for the Panthers right now. Some interesting things about their roster construction. 10 offensive linemen are still on the 53. Also, 7 wide receivers, as I mentioned, and 7 defensive linemen, and that doesn't include the likes of the Jadeveon Clowneys because they're considered outside linebacker. That's what I'm talking about with to be determined. That's what I'm talking about. You're not going to have, let me do some on-air quick math, 24 guys tied up in those 3 position groups. So they're keeping them now, I think, in part because they want to know who they're going to claim, right? We've said it a billion times. Panthers have first waiver, so they have the first choice of all of the players in the entire NFL that have been cut or that have been waived, I should say. So if they want to keep any of them, I think that'll impact which of those 3 groups moves on. For example, right, you have 10 offensive linemen. I don't think you're keeping a first 5 and a second 5. We're not we're not rolling them out there like Pop Warner. Let's get the B team in there, and you put out the next group. But you might not know if you want to keep a guard or a tackle based on who you're going to claim off waivers. If you claim a tackle, maybe you want to keep one of your offensive guards and you'll waive the rest of the tackles or vice versa. So there's still so much up in the air, right? The bubble guys that made it who don't even get to celebrate because with that same waiver deal, their spot on the 53 isn't guaranteed. Guys like center Andrew Rame, undrafted rookie, wide receivers David Moore and Jalen Coker, for different reasons. I think they could be vulnerable. Running back Raheem Blackshear, I don't know what his injury situation is, but he's a talented guy if healthy and if they don't like somebody else on the waiver wire more. A couple of defensive linemen, Jaden Crumedy, draft pick. I believe he's a 6th rounder. And Jaden Peavy. So the Jadens on the defensive line. Would not be surprised if after some waiver claims they're on the move.
I think that there's a possibility that we see, because I know Crumedy has been injured since the first preseason game against the New England Patriots. He might be a guy that they put on injured reserve, designated to return at some point later on this season, which would allow for them to make a waiver claim without having to actually truly release somebody. I think same might apply for Cade Mays, who's been dealing with a shoulder injury as well. He might be a guy that they might put on injured reserve possibly with a designation to return and then can still claim somebody too. So I think there are a couple of guys on this roster that might get moved to injured reserve, which would allow for those waiver claims.
This roster is the least done at 4 o'clock today, which is when every roster has to be on 53. The Panthers is the least finished of any roster in the NFL. It is the most time still on the clock in the kitchen where you're like, I still got 2 hours, right? It feels like it should be done. They are the least done, right? They cut into the meat and it's red and mooing still in there. So it's like, I'm
like that, though.
Gonna have to put that back on the grill for a little bit. At least sear it a little bit better. It's almost like they just kick the tough decisions to tomorrow, right? Because I think the tough decisions are which of those 7 wide receivers are not coming back, which of those 10 offensive linemen are not coming back because they've all played well, which of those defensive linemen can they do without. Those were the tough decisions, and they didn't make them. They figured, well, we don't know who we're going to claim off waivers. Let's wait till tomorrow to make those decisions. Give us those 12 extra hours. It's like a school project. Can I give it to you at 3 o'clock this afternoon? It's like, it's 2:15. Yeah, sure. Go ahead. I don't know what you're going to do in those 45 minutes, but good luck.
Oh, you can get it done.
What are you going to do? I need 5 more minutes to decide on this defensive line. All right, fine. Wait till tomorrow when we make waiver claims. I don't know what you're going to do in the next 10 hours. Go ahead. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Before we move on, here's our very own Dennis Cox.
Yeah, I know things are might be a little bit warm right now, but fall is approaching, folks, and that means time to hop back on the motorcycle. Dennis Cox here for my friends over at Law Tigers. I know I'm excited for the fall weather to be here, not just to be outside, watching our favorite sports teams, going out to stadiums, but I like to get on the motorcycle and go out for a ride and just enjoy the fresh air and the scenery around. But I also know that there are risks that come with that. Injuries do happen, and if you are injured in a motorcycle accident, this is where Law Tigers comes in. Call 1-800-LAW-TIGERS before you call your insurance company. Insurance companies, they want to pay you the least amount possible, whereas Law Tigers, they're riders too. They understand what your bike and your gear are worth and what you're going through after an accident. Your case evaluation is always free, and they do not get paid until your case settles. But also keep this in mind as well. Maybe a few months back you did get into a motorcycle accident, and your insurance company isn't doing everything that you needed. You can still contact Law Tigers today at 1-800-LAW-TIGERS. North Carolina's motorcycle lawyers. Law Tigers is a network of independent law firms who are members of the American Association of Motorcycle Injury Lawyers. Law Tigers is not a law firm.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. The new guys in college football in the Triangle need some respect. We're going to fight for that respect coming up.
Evan, Canty, and Michelle are unsportsmanlike.
Any mayo-based salad is disgusting. There's only one chicken salad on earth that I will eat. Most of them are too mayo-based. Egg salad is the grossest thing you could ever show me. That is so gross. If you're like, you know what I'm craving? An egg salad sandwich? Sickening.
Tuna and egg, gross.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Unsportsmanlike. Mornings from 6 to 9 on 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
Bobby Joe absolutely hated her job.
Can't hate that job any more than I do.
So, time for one of those fancy tech schools?
No, I could never afford that. I'm going to Sharky's.
Sharky's?
Yeah, no better place to relax. Great food, cold beer, good whiskey, darts, billiards.
So now you love your job?
No, I still hate my job, but I loves me some Sharky's. I highly recommend it.
Yeah, everybody loves Sharky's. Sharky's Place, one of the best neighborhood bars in the world. 5800 Durley Road by the Shell Station.
Whether you're tinkering in your garage or tackling big projects, if you know the value of working with your hands, you know Harbor Freight. And you can be confident knowing that at Harbor Freight, you can get quality tools at prices that work just as hard as you do. Because the only thing more satisfying than a job well done is a job well done, well under budget. Whatever you do, do it for less at Harbor Freight.
Find what you love, love what you find. A Total Wine and More. There's so much waiting for you. All kinds of beers and thousands of wines. Guides in the know and prices so low, it just might blow your mind. You're gonna find what you love and love what you find.
Only at Total Wine and More. Drink responsibly. Be 21.
Meet Cheryl.
Hey.
She's on vacation and lost in the moment. Unfortunately, so is her Chase debit card.
It's gotta be somewhere.
Maybe she lost it at salsa night.
These skirts should have pockets.
Or maybe she lost it at Pilates.
3 and 2 and...
But she's not worried. With the Chase mobile app, she can lock her card till it turns up. Tools that help protect. One bank that puts you in control. Visit chase.com/checking. Chase, make more of what's yours.
Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank and a member FDIC.
Hey friends, Paul Ihander from 99.9 The Fan for FanDuel. You've heard me talk a lot about FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Well, I've got something a little different for you. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Then, with a YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out-of-market game, the 1 o'clocks and the 4 o'clocks. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel anytime. Just visit FanDuel.com/Paul, Paul with a capital P, and download America's #1 sportsbook. 21 plus and present in North Carolina. Full price of NFL Sunday Ticket will be automatically charged seasonally after free trial. No refunds. Terms, restrictions, and embargoes apply. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Join the drive, by the way, live from Carter Finley Stadium on this Thursday afternoon for the Pack Home Opener served up by Carolina Ale House. Back the Pack at Carolina Ale House this season with award-winning wings and ice-cold pints. With wall-to-wall TVs, Carolina Ale House is your go-to spot for every game. We will be broadcasting live from the plaza there, so if you're there, stop out and say hi. I'm working on getting...
I won't be there, sorry.
Yeah. Stop out and say what you really feel about Dennis.
That's fine. Please do.
We promise we will not pass that along. We absolutely will. I'm working on finding out something we can give away. I had a good time during the Canes postseason where we would ask you to predict the first goal scorer and in what period. I'm thinking we're gonna work on something here where you can make a prediction on maybe first touchdown scorer of the season for NC State and what period and things, and maybe we can give something away. But we'll be out at the Plaza, Carter Finley, this Thursday for the entirety of the show leading up to the game that night. Now, speaking of college football in the Triangle, there's a list on ESPN, top 100 impact newcomers. And what that means is freshmen and or transfers. My first bone to pick with them is I don't like grouping together transfers and freshmen. How is it fair to group together some 18-year-old whose body's developing?
Well, according to Dabo Sweeney, freshmen are just transfers from high school. So maybe we should lump them together.
We never disagree with Dabo.
Exactly. So if we're following his philosophy.
The list is all newcomers, though, so we'll go by their rules, not mine, which would be two different lists. They broke it up into categories, one of which impact quarterbacks. Now, that was Grayson McCall, Max Johnson, who hasn't been named the starter at UNC yet. Nobody has. And notably, no Malik Murphy from Duke. And that just started me off on the wrong side of things because I was going, all right, it's SEC bias, it's Big Ten bias, it's the old blue blood bias, and for some reason the Triangle's getting disrespected here already. Then I scrolled to offensive playmakers, and I thought, all right, perfect. Noah Rogers was a 5-star recruit, right? Justin Jolie was maybe the best tight end in the entire portal. Offensive playmakers, They got to be here. Jordan Waters, the running back that went from Duke to NC State, the only player in the triangle mentioned. They went on to big boys. They talked about the offensive linemen. I said, this is where UNC better be represented because they have Omarion Hampton, who might be the best running back in the league, in the world, in the entire country, at least in college. And they're depending upon basically an entire new offensive line, 4 of the 5. 2 or 3 of them are going to be transfers. I said, all right, this is where they're going to show up. None mentioned. That's, quite frankly, an incomplete list, but it's also something that just goes to show how you can even play their game and the ACC and the Triangle and the 3 teams that we cover most closely here in the Triangle, NC State, Duke, UNC, whatever order you like, they're going to have to go above and beyond to get the same kind of recognition that other schools get. Right? Noah Rogers is a transfer portal coup for NC State, right? It's the kind of thing that you have to get lucky that he grew up around here. He went to Ohio State as a 5-star wide receiver, and he left after 1 year. Chances are he's not just going to go anywhere. He had to go where he knew his home, right? He's from North Carolina. He goes back to NC State. That is like winning at the game that the national media wants you to play. The reason why Florida State was so hyped, especially before the Georgia Tech game, was because they killed in the transfer portal. The reason why Ohio State is so hyped is because they killed in the transfer portal, yet NC State kills in the transfer portal, and they can't even get a single player on or they get 2 players, but they can't get a single of probably the biggest and flashiest players on the list of top 100 newcomers. Duke, they got Malik Murphy. Malik Murphy had a whole host of options out of the transfer portal.
Highly recruited 4-star, too.
4-star out of high school, plays at Texas, wins the 2 starts he has at Texas. For a team that went on to achieve big and lofty goals, he hits the transfer portal. He goes to Duke, choosing them over a bunch of other quote-unquote bigger programs. He's not a top 100 newcomer. You can't tell me if he went to Baylor, he wouldn't be a top 100 newcomer. If he went to somewhere in the SEC where he had options, he wouldn't be one of the top 100 newcomers.
He went to Notre Dame like Riley Leonard did.
Riley Leonard, I think, was number 13 on the top 25.
Imagine that.
Yeah, so that's actually even better point. If you leave the triangle, you're good enough to be a top 100 player, but I guarantee if you stayed, you wouldn't be. Whether it's Sampson, Leftwich, Greenberg, Blasky, all of these guys for UNC on the offensive line who, when it comes to impact, are going to have a massive impact on Omarion Hampton's Player of the Year arguments, Doak Walker arguments, All-American arguments, or whether it's a quarterback at a Power 5 program who, I mean, we know quarterbacks at Power 5 programs are some of the most impactful players in all of college football. They're not getting the love. So we hear you loud and clear, right? It's moving goalposts. That's exactly what it is. The national media wants you to do what Ohio State's doing. Well, especially NC State, out of the teams in the Triangle, went out and did it. They raised the NIL money. They spent the NIL money. They brought in impact players at important positions that they saw needed. And the media goes, well, they're not the biggest impact in newcomers. Going, no, they did what you wanted, right? Now you want something else? They did what you wanted. Now that's not good enough? You know, I've talked about playing the switch game, and it's not just Big Ten and SEC bias. I think if some of these moves were to Clemson, I think if some of these moves were to Miami or to Florida State, they would be seen as bigger.
Sure.
We've talked about playing the swip-swap game, right? I think if you take NC State's offense, put it on Clemson's offense, take Clemson's offense, put it as NC State's offense, I think Clemson probably raises in the rankings, NC State drops.
Yeah, just switch the uniforms.
That's ridiculous to say out loud, except for the fact that it's true. And the same can go for, like, you know, you put Omarion Hampton. We know that according to Mack Brown, Omarion Hampton turned down 4 times the money he received to stay at UNC. To go, he turned down the offer to go somewhere else and make 4 times the amount of money. I mean, if he did go somewhere else, is he on Heisman lists? Is he
probably?
Is he the betting favorite to win the Doak Walker? Does the Athletic have him as a first-team All-American, which they don't and they should, even at UNC? I don't know. It's in a sport, and by the way, normally I wouldn't care. If this were the NFL, you wouldn't hear me complaining at all about what the media says or what the national media says, because in the NFL, they settle it on the field. The problem I have with these kind of narratives is eventually a committee is going to make a decision on who gets to go to the college football playoff, right? Those at-large games, those at-large teams are going to be decided by people in a room. And one of the things they're going to talk about is talent, right? How good are the players? And if they're looking at these players, former 5 stars, best tight end in the draft, massive offensive line improvements, and they're saying, well, they're not great at the beginning of the year, what makes us think they're going to be different at the end of the year when the decision isn't just who gets mentioned in an article? The decision is who gets to be included in the college football playoff. In a weird way, college football has like 5% figure skating, right? In that it all comes down to the judges at the end. I wish you could settle it all on the scoreboard, right? I'm all about that. But no, it's going to come down to drop the highest and lowest scores, and you didn't get full extension on your triple sow cow. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Before we move on, I need to talk to you about your windows. Tim Donnelly here for Window Nation. Your windows are wildly important. Whether you want to believe it or not, they can cost you money, right? If the seal is broken, if they're leaky, then all of that air you're paying to condition, right? Keep cold, keep warm inside your house. Well, it's escaping through your windows, and you're kind of paying to try to temperature control the outside. And I'll just let you know, costs way, way more money to heat the outside than you think. It's hot out there. Cooling your house is more expensive than ever. Window Nation, right? Tim Donnelly here for Window Nation. Not only wants to make your house more efficient, they want to raise the value of your home, and they want to do it while hooking you up with an awesome deal to celebrate the month of August. Buy 2 windows, get 2 windows free, plus pay nothing with no interest for 2 full years. And on top of that, celebrate in August, an additional $250 in credit. Buy 2 windows, get 2 windows free with no interest for 2 full years, plus an additional $250 in credit. It's easy to set up a free no-obligation consultation. Just give them a call. 866-90-NATION. That's 866-90-NATION. Or visit windownation.com. That's windownation.com to schedule now. We're going to take a break. When we come back, before we dive all the way down into the football submarine for the next few weeks, I have one request for the Canes so we can be happy down there in the football exclusive submarine. Canes talk coming up next.
It's bow time. It's not just football season. It's tailgate season. And that includes every kind of football, whether it's got goalkeepers or goalposts. The kick is good! Because it doesn't matter where or how you tailgate. When you've got crispy chicken and fluffy buttermilk biscuits from Bojangles, your tailgate is better than great. It's legendary. Head to Bojangles and order your tailgate box with boldly seasoned chicken, fixins, biscuits, and legendary iced tea today. It's bow time.
Planning a tailgate? Then it's bow time. Bojangles has everything you need for the perfect tailgate, no matter how many fans you're trying to feed. There's the original tailgate, the super tailgate, and for a really big crowd, the jumbo tailgate special. And if you like your chicken off the bone, choose the Supreme's tailgate special that includes 12 perfectly seasoned tenderloin fillets. So grab the tickets, get that Bojangles tailgate special, and go. It's bow time.
Is foot pain keeping you from living the life you love? Hi, it's Jonathan Cotton with the Good Feet Store, and life is too short to be living with foot, knee, or back pain. When all 4 arches in your feet are supported, the results can be amazing. Go to goodfeet.com to make your appointment today.
Global Golf is Carolina's home to the largest selection of pre-owned golf gear. And this week, save up to 25% on your purchase with big savings on pre-owned and prior seasons clubs. And don't forget to bring in your current golf clubs to trade up to that new set. Global Golf, Located in North Raleigh at 7320 ACC Boulevard. Open Monday to Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Global Golf, home to the best deals in golf. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Dauntless Transmissions in Raleigh is hiring. If you're an ASE certified automotive technician looking to make good money, have a guaranteed 40-hour work week, and get paid every Friday, check out this opportunity. Dauntless Transmissions is a small family-owned shop with a quality-first attitude in need of technicians with experience doing minor engine work. Happy to train the right candidate further on transmissions. If you're ready to be appreciated and duly compensated for your automotive abilities, call or apply now at dauntlesstransmissions.com.
Get an amazing deal at Wilkinson Chevrolet Cadillac Buick GMC in Sanford, where we're stacking the savings. Save up to 12% off MSRP on select 2024 GMC Sierra 1500 SLTs, including a Wilkinson discount, GMC bonus cash and purchase allowance, and trade assistance on eligible vehicles 2010 or newer. GMC, we are professional grade. At Wilkinson Chevrolet Cadillac Buick GMC in Sanford, one of the only dealerships with Chevy, Cadillac, Buick, and GMC under one roof. Visit us today or online at wilkinsoncars.com.
Homeowners, listen up. Loan Pronto now has mortgage rates that start with a 4. Hey, it's Dennis Cox for Loan Pronto. It's true. Mortgage rates have plummeted to lows we haven't seen in a long time. If your current rate is over 6%, you can dump it and lower your house payment big time. Loan Pronto just locked in a homeowner with a 4.99% APR. Whether you got your loan last week, last month, or last year, it's time to call Loan Pronto. Even if you're in the process with another lender, stop now and call Loan Pronto. Ask about their zero-cost reduction home loan. You can lock in a lower rate with no closing costs in a matter of days with almost no paperwork and usually no appraisal. And if you act now, you can even skip your next 2 house payments. Call now. Loan Pronto can give you a rate quote in minutes with no hard credit pull and no upfront fees like those other guys. Call 919-381-1760 or loanpronto.com. 919-381-1760. Equal housing lender. NMLS 1661781 on approved credit. NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
Canes can keep it in out in front. They score! Jordan Martin to Martin Necas. And the Thunder is coming down at PNC Arena. 1-0 Carolina. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. We're big on accountability around here. Hand up. My bad. I got excited talking about all of the football things going on. And I forgot about our fan football flyaway. So I've robbed you of a half hour. Luckily, it takes significantly less than a half hour to text in one word.
Got 30 seconds.
It is time for our 3 o'clock keyword in our fan football flyaway, sponsored by the fabulous Mandalay Bay Hotel, Atlantic Spas and Billiards, Buffalo Brothers, and Newcomb & Company. This hour's word is root. R-O-O-T. Root. This hour's word is root. Text root to 919-860-5326 and enter for your chance to win a trip for 2 to Las Vegas, where you can see Carolina play football against Vegas. We're talking the silver and black. You get the room. You get the luxurious room, I'll call it. You get the flights. You get some money for food. All on us, right? We give you all of that. All you had to do was text in a keyword. The keyword is root. You need to text it in to 919-860-5326, and you need to do it by 4 o'clock. And just to make me feel better, since I forgot about it for the first half hour, I think it would be awesome if the winner came from somebody that texted it in just in this last half hour.
That would be cool.
So if you've already been texting in every hour, you know the deal. You know why you're doing it. Continue to do it. If you're a first-time texter, do it right now. And say, you know what, that time Tim forgot and felt bad about it, that actually led to me being the champion of this bad boy and going to Vegas for free.
And reminder to all, this is not a call-in. Text the word.
Text root, R-O-O-T, to 919-860-5326, and then listen in for another keyword coming up in the 4 o'clock hour. There's another silver lining of me waiting till 3:30. The next one's going to be sooner. So stay tuned till the 4 o'clock hour to get to the next keyword. Part of the reason I was so excited and actually, dodged that for the first half hour was because football is about to be here for real. We are 2 days away from real-life college football here in the Triangle. We are, like 9 days away from NFL football really getting underway. Like it's we're about to, as I like to say, metaphorically go in like a submarine, right? Disconnect to everything else, no communication, just focus on football for a little bit. So it'd be really nice if the Carolina Hurricanes could just give Seth Jarvis the long-term deal, come to the agreement today, maybe tomorrow at the latest, and then we can focus in on football knowing that all of the to-do list for the Carolina Hurricanes, this offseason has been done. I thought today we could kind of round out some of our Canes offseason thoughts before we jump into that football submarine. Until, obviously, then once hockey preseason gets started, we'll start double timing and paying attention to both. But let's round out our thoughts real quick. Martin Necas is one of the thoughts of the offseason. Martin Necas is one of the stories of the offseason. And Elliot Friedman spoke with Martin Necas recently, the Sportsnet's Elliot Friedman, and he put out some of the quotes. There's some that is expected, right? Hey, I didn't know if I was coming back. I wasn't sure. It was 50-50 there for a little bit. I'm happy to be back. We had a 2-year deal, blah, 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 blah. And then there was this. This quote, again, from Friedman, from Necas, was about the ability of Rod Brind'Amour and Necas to find common ground, which is really what the story of Necas was this offseason, right? Necas wanted certain things, and we know from how Rod Brind'Amour had treated Necas through the first 5 years of his career that that's not how Rod Brind'Amour saw Necas. And that's where a lot of the expectations for the trade kind of all built in, right? It was, if you want that, you're going to have to go somewhere else. So them reaching a middle ground becomes vitally important. And this is what Necas said about finding a middle ground with Rod. I think we will, and we have to. It's important for us. I've got to give him something. I've got to give him something for him to give me more ice time. I never had a problem with Rod off the ice. We've always been good to each other. I've got to be better. Be a player he can trust. I'm looking for a bigger role. I definitely want to play more, but obviously I've got to show it on the ice, and I already talked with Rod. End of quote.
It's like prove it mode, basically. That's what he said for himself.
I love that from Necas.
Sure, as do I.
I love that from Necas. The fact that it wasn't, I want Rod to play me in this. I know how I can be used best. We need to make sure I get him. It wasn't any of that. It was I, meaning I need to play better. I need to be a player he can trust. I've got to do the things that he sees that will give me a bigger role. And the irony of it all is this is kind of like Rod loves veterans, right? Rod loves guys that have been through the battles. Rod loves guys that have been through the wars. And I think it's sometimes maybe like I'm going like, gosh, trust the young guy. But the way Rod thinks is the veterans are the guys I can trust. Necas is kind of moving that way, right? Even with certain guys that left, right? Nason, gone. Tavo, gone. Pesci, gone. Shea, gone. With these guys that have moved on this offseason, like Martin Necas doesn't even realize he just kicked up like 4 spots in the veteran rankings. Right? It used to be, okay, am I going to give Necas this chance or this veteran that I'm super comfortable with? Now it's, am I going to give this rookie a chance or Necas, who I'm super comfortable with? Like, he's kind of switching roles. I love that. Love that from Martin Necas. And by the way, all across sports, you see guys who struggled to find their footing. What do I do? What's my role? Why doesn't coach blah, blah, blah? And then 4, 5, 6 years into their career, they figure it out. They mature, right? They start taking it under their own control, the things they can control. I would love for that to happen to Martin Necas, because we know how physically gifted the dude is.
Oh, it's undoubted.
He, like, watching him, even on TV, which is rare for hockey. Like, his speed and explosiveness pops. Every once in a while, you're like, whoa, who is that? Necas. He refused in the interview to name all of the specifics on which teams were talking to him, but he did confirm Columbus and Winnipeg were serious. We kind of already knew that. And he also said that a bunch of Hurricanes players worked him hard to stay, and he loves the guys in Carolina. That seems to be a common theme. On the Jake Gensel front, this is what I'm talking about.
That guy?
We got to put a...
We're talking that guy?
Yeah, we're talking Jake Gensel.
Okay, we're talking that guy.
We got to put a bow on it so we can go into the football submarine and pop out when hockey is ready to be played. The Gensel stuff is going to sting for a while.
Jake Gensel is just a jackwagon.
Aho seems to have loved Gensel. Gensel seems to have loved Aho. I have a quote here to Friedman about Gensel. This is from Aho. That one obviously stung, but you've got to be happy for him to get that kind of deal. I still think we have a lot of good things going on with our team. I don't like Aho hurt, but also those two guys could have grown old together. They could have been together for the next 7-8 years. Gensel was on the Dropping the Gloves podcast, said this about Sebastian Aho. I thought Sebastian Aho was just unbelievable. I think he should be getting more recognition than he gets. Gensel continued on about Jarvis. Then I also think about Seth Jarvis. I think Jarvis is going to be a really special player in this league for a long time, plays in all situations, and he can do a lot. And yeah, he's just a great guy to be around too. I think Gensel just left on some petty business stuff. Whether it was the money because you're in Florida with no taxes, no income tax, whether it's they took too long to meet my demands and now I'm salty about it. I think he left on some petty business stuff, even though he recognized the great players he'd be able to grow old around. That's going to sting, right? It's one thing if it's like you see a better situation. It's one thing if it's, all right, our debate or our persuasive arguments didn't work. It's a whole other when it's like, you just let it get petty, didn't you? Enjoy Tampa.
Jake Gensel is just a jackwagon.
And then the last thing, to hopefully put a bow on, put a nice wrapping paper on, set it under the tree, and be done with for the offseason, Seth Jarvis. Friedman said in his 32 thoughts, I have a theory that Carolina's extension with Jarvis is not far from done, possibly delayed because GM Eric Tulsky continues to tinker. I've had a hunch that it's been done for like 2 months.
Haven't we all?
Stop tinkering. It's done. It's a masterpiece. Walk away. I want Eric Tulsky at the Panthers home opener with no worries in the world, just waiting for hockey season to get here. I don't want him somewhere hammering out more numbers or more. Maybe we could do this with Seth Jarvis. Give him $8 million a year over 8 years and move the heck on.
Call it a day.
And let us all, I used this example off air earlier, but when I played college football, there'd be like a week and a half before training camp, and the strength and conditioning coach who would have been kicking your tail all summer, right? 5 a.m. workouts, middle of the hot day workouts, just stronger, faster, all of that, just absolutely kicking your tail, would go, all right, you got a week and a half until camp. Go home, see your family, enjoy, unplug, relax, show up in training camp ready to lock in. I want that to happen for Canes fans. I want that to happen for Canes fans. I want them to give Seth Jarvis the deal and tell Canes fans, take a week or two off, watch some mindless football, enjoy college football, some pro stuff, finish drafting your fantasy teams, and then be back once preseason starts, ready to lock in and go crazy for your Carolina Hurricanes. That's what I'm looking for. But you have to get the Jarvis deal done. You have to, or else we're not going to be able to do that. We're going to be sitting there worried about it, sitting on a beach, trying to enjoy the last bit of our summer.
By the way, 4 weeks from today, first preseason game for the Panthers.
Exactly. It's
4
not
weeks
that
from
long.
today.
It's not that long.
By the way, the Canes did announce actually just about 30 or so minutes ago their roster for their prospect showcase. That's coming up. And you'll see some of like the young studs like Felix Unger-Sorm, Bradley Nadeau, Jackson Blake, Scott Morrow, all going to participate. It's like 3 games over 4 days. It's the Panthers, the Florida Panthers, the Hurricanes, the Predators, and Tampa Bay Lightning. So basically like the southeast, the southeast of the NHL. It's a little prospect showcase.
I had a
should be a fun time.
Moment of a heart flutter there where we're talking about just announce the Jarvis deal, and then you're like, the Canes did announce. I'm like, wait a minute.
Oh no, we would.
Why wouldn't you jump in earlier than that?
You could have led with that.
Yeah. Let me sit up here talk about how it needs to get done for 7 minutes, and you're just waiting on the contract guarantee or something.
Well, we got 3 hours to fill.
Yeah, exactly. I'll let you fill it, then we'll pivot. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Make it happen. That's what I'm saying. Other things that could be made to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Could the Panthers trade Miles Sanders?
It's possible.
There's a couple articles out there that list him as one of the veterans that could be traded before the deadline. So we're going into the season now. It doesn't have to be today. I'd be interested.
Sure.
If I'm Dan Morgan, I'm making calls to teams that look running back needy, Dallas, or teams that may have put a running back that they were hoping to depend on earlier in the season on PUP, Cleveland. Right?
Somebody gets hurt during the year.
I'm making those calls. $4 million in 2024 would be the financial obligation of whoever they trade him to. Everybody is already kind of under the impression that it's Jonathan Brooks' backfield whenever he comes back, and Chuba Hubbard is the placeholder until then, with Miles Sanders as a depth piece in both situations. Raheem Blackshear is somebody that they appear to like, and there are some guys on waivers you can pick up that could fill Miles Sanders' spot if you made the move quickly. The other thing is, he's not your guy. And I don't say that in a negative way to Miles Sanders. I say that in Scott Fitterer gave him that deal, not you, right? There's a lot of players that I'm going to look at Dan Morgan over the years and say, don't love that signing. Don't love how much money you gave that guy, because no GM bats 1,000, right? There's going to be bad signings along the way. This isn't one of them. You get a get-out-of-jail-free card. Whatever you can get back for Miles Sanders is turning a problem that Scott Fitterer left you into magic beans. Right? I don't care if it's a 6th-round pick. Magic beans. Don't make me start listing players drafted in the 6th round, because you start at Tom Brady and everybody goes, yeah, exactly. It's more
Antonio Brown.
It's more difficult than that, but hey, they exist. Here's what the Panthers should be trying to do in the trade market, and they should be listening to any and everything. They should be looking to swap old for young, because they want players that can grow with this core. It doesn't make sense to be in the market for too many 30-year-olds. They should be looking to swap expensive for cheap everywhere they can, right? Certain teams should be willing to kick money into the future, bring on higher contracts, turn it into a signing bonus, so then the cap hit hits future years, because they need those players to win now. The Panthers should be doing the opposite, right? They want all their money to come off the books this offseason so they can spend big in free agency, or so that they can be creative with their roster management. They should be looking to swap expensive for cheap. They should be looking to swap, players for players and picks. I call those insulated trades, okay? What that means is you trade a player for a player who you think might be a step down but could be equal, plus a pick. That way, if you're wrong, maybe the pick makes up for it, right? You're insulating yourself. We have a proven commodity here in Miles Sanders. He's somebody who's run for 1,000 yards, who's somebody with a highlight film in the NFL that shows he can do it. I will trade him to you for your project running back and a 4th-round pick. That way, if the project running back turns into absolutely dog poo, your 4th-round pick, look at the running backs drafted in the 4th round this year. You're looking at pretty darn good running backs, pretty darn good prospects, I should say. Now I want to go back and give you the examples. Jonathan Brooks was a 2nd rounder.
Yep.
Keep scrolling. Jalen Wright who's down there with Miami out of Tennessee. Very good player, 4th-round pick. Bucky Irving, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, out of Oregon. Very good player, 4th-round pick. Will Shipley, a North Carolina native,
Clemson.
4th-round pick. Ray Davis out of Kentucky, 4th-round pick. Isaac Guerrero out of Louisville, the speedster, 4th-round pick. Braylon Allen out of Wisconsin, 4th-round pick. You should be looking to improve your roster every and any way you can if you're the Panthers. And there are certain untouchables, players that you should not be willing to trade. You should probably be able to count them without taking your shoes off, meaning 10 fingers or less.
Yeah, just about.
Everyone else, yeah, we're listening. What are you thinking? You don't have to accept every trade, but you should hear every trade.
Forest City Kitty agrees with you, saying about Miles Sanders. Says yes, Miles stinks, but also notes that the Panthers might need to keep Miles until Brooks is 100%. But also keep in mind is that the team might look to bring back running back Mike Boone tomorrow after he was released today to bring him back on the 53-man roster. So that would allow you the possibility of trading Sanders maybe sooner.
Mike Boone, I'm a fan of Kevin Harris, who was just waived by the New England Patriots, a young running back. If you watched the Drake May Patriots game over the weekend, he's the one that took the short pass, ran up the sideline, dove from like the 4-yard line over a guy, scored the touchdown. So they're like, running back is a position that if you needed to fill a slot for 3-4 games until Jonathan Brooks came up as your 3rd running back, I think you might be able to find a guy. Which, by the way, if my group chat is active, which just came up, the Browns may have just cut Deontay Foreman. Panther fans know all about how effective
I'm not
Deontay
happy
Foreman
for
could
Deontay
be.
Foreman, but I love Deontay Foreman.
I mean, if you needed a guy to come in and give you 10 carries a game, Deontay Foreman, I mean, you look up in the dictionary that role, Deontay Foreman is right there.
He's got you. Gosh, he and Chuba Hubbard a couple years ago with Steve Wilkes when took over as interim head coach, those two were quite the 1-2 punch.
Let me make sure.
Like 40 carries a game between the two. Just pound the rock.
They've terminated the contract of running back Deontay Foreman. They've released him.
Wow.
He is, I believe, a vested veteran, so he won't go on waivers.
He's free agent.
He could, maybe there's an agreement of him to just like wait a couple days and then return.
Possible.
But hey, if I'm the Panthers, I'm making the call if you're interested in trading Sanders, which sounds like the Browns really need him now. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Dennis, you're out Wednesday, Thursday, Friday of this week.
I am.
You're going to be on vacation.
Yes, I will be.
Probably camped out watching college football. I would hope so. If you are, we need your picks. This Thursday, there's Western Carolina at State. There's UNC at Minnesota. There's North Carolina A&T at Wake Forest. Friday, there's Elon at Duke. You're going to be out for those games. Give us some predictions. More than picking a winner for Wake Forest against A&T or something like that. Give us something that we can either say you're right or you're wrong about.
Okay, we'll start with State because I think they have the first kickoff on Thursday.
Yep.
So we'll go with NC State at home against Western Carolina. Give me a 44-10 final in this one for NC State. I think their offense hits a couple of big plays early. I think this is where you're going to see a Casey Concepcion, just like a little crossing route where he just outruns everybody and scores a touchdown early.
I know what that looks like.
You'll probably see a Jordan Waters touchdown. Do not be surprised if we see a Justin Jolie touchdown as well. Going to get those in the first quarter and a half of the game, first 22 minutes of the game. Then we'll start seeing guys get subbed out in the second half offensively. I think early, just because you have some new pieces, like you might see a Western Carolina field goal, end of the first quarter type deal, and then they don't score again until late in the fourth quarter when you have a bunch of walk-ons and backups and stuff in the game for Western Carolina. So I'm going to go 44-10. I think Grayson McCall accounts for 3 touchdowns and Jordan Waters accounts for 2.
Before you move on to the next game, you won't be there, but The Drive, the show, will be live from Carter Finley Stadium Thursday afternoon for the Pack home opener, served up by Carolina Ale House, and then back the Pack all season at Carolina Ale House with award-winning wings and ice-cold pints, wall-to-wall TVs. Carolina Ale House is your go-to spot for every game. UNC at Minnesota, what are you thinking in that one?
I'm thinking that UNC wins this one in a tight one, 28-24. That's the game I'm predicting. I think Max Johnson is going to be the quarterback that starts the game for Carolina. I think he's going to be the first QB on the field, I should say. But I think that Omari Hampton is going to get the ball 25 times. He's going to run for about 140 yards. and he's going to get 2 touchdowns. But I think Max Johnson actually hits both of his tight ends, Nesbitt and Copenhagen, for touchdowns in this game as well. And we also saw last year UNC in the season opener against South Carolina in Charlotte. Their defense got 7 sacks in that game. Now, it dropped off after about the first 3 games, but
Was it 7? I feel like that's like a fishing story to me.
I think it was 7.
Every time you tell it, I thought I would have said 11.
It might be.
It's like, you caught a fish, it's a foot long, and then next year it's 18 inches. The next year it's
35
Moby
pounds.
Dick. Yeah, that's how it goes.
But I think K'Mon Rucker gets 2 sacks in this game as well. And also would not be surprised if you get 1 off of Power Eccles blitzing up the middle. So I'm gonna get 3 sacks for the defense, 2 by Rucker, and I'm going to get Power Eccles on a blitz as well.
All right, speed it up a little bit. North Carolina A&T at Wake.
Wake's going to use multiple quarterbacks in this game, not because they want to, but because they have to, because they still don't know who their starting QB is, but because they're playing an FCS team. I think Wake squeaks out this one 35-17.
35-17. Elon at Duke on Friday for the finale.
Duke should roll in this one pretty comfortable. I think Malik Murphy throws for 275 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Boom.
And they win this one 42-14.
Let me write that down so we can tell you if you're right or wrong. 42-14?
Yep.
So that's a great weekend for the state of North Carolina and the ACC.
Absolutely.
That is a fantastic weekend. We will take that. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Tim Donnelly here for Miller Lending, home of the no closing cost loan. Here's the deal, right? Rates, they rise, they fall. People go, oh, my gosh, they're high. You should wait until the rates drop to lock in your mortgage. Well, the fact of the matter is, timing isn't always something you can choose. Sometimes you need to upsize. You need to downsize. You need to move for work reasons. You need to move for family reasons. Like, there's a bunch of different reasons why. You can look at those people that tell you to wait for the market to be where it was in 2021, and you go, well, I can't. But what you can do is set yourself up best to not be locked in to that high rate forever and ever and ever. Matter of fact, the average mortgage is less than 4 years as far as before you move, before you refi, before you get a new mortgage. So if it's less than 4 years, prepare for it. Don't pay closing costs and fees. Don't take that fat stack of cash out of your pocket for closing costs and fees every time you want to refinance, every time you get a new mortgage. Instead, call up Miller Lending and have them set you up with a no closing cost loan. The number to call, 919-447-3377. That's 919-447-3377. Or you can visit them online at millerlending.com. That's millerlending.com. Miller Lending is an equal housing lender, NMLS number 250-2146. We'll take a break. When we come back, it is football at 4. The Panthers have all the power in the world right now. Number 1 on the waiver line. What should they do with it? Stick around.
Hi, this is Renee Chu. The most trusted local news in the Triangle is now on the radio, WRL News Plus. Now get breaking news and severe weather reports on the radio 24 hours a day. Listen on the radio at 96.5 FM in Durham, 99.3 FM in Raleigh, and everywhere in the Triangle at 101.5 HD3.
You know it's going to be a good day when your biggest concern in the morning is collecting the crumbs falling from the McDonald's crispy chicken biscuit. Your only concern should be, has your day peaked too early?
Start your morning off on a high note when you save on a warm and buttery crispy chicken biscuit for just $2.50. Only at McDonald's.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Price and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer or combo meal.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my side softer?
Can I make my side firmer whenever I want?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. 94% of Sleep Number smart sleepers report better sleep. And now, during our biggest sale of the year, save 50% on the Sleep Number limited edition smart bed. Plus free home delivery on select smart beds when you add any base. Ends Labor Day. To find a store near you, visit sleepnumber.com.
The best things in life
They come in twos. 2 scoops of ice cream, 2 tacos. And now for a limited time, get our best deal of the year. Buy any phone when you switch to Consumer Cellular and get 2 months of service free. That's right, the same fast, reliable nationwide coverage as Big Wireless, now with 2 months free. Proof the best things in life really do come in twos. Visit consumercellular.com or call 1-888-FREEDOM. Second and third month of monthly base service fee waived for new customers with the purchase of a phone and activation by September 2nd, 2024. Taxes, fees, and third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
Welcome to Staples, young man.
I'm starting first grade.
Aw, well, Staples has crayons, markers, glue.
I need a laptop.
Oh, sure. With Staples Hot Deals, you can save up to $500 on select PCs.
The finances are Mom's department.
Right.
I'm looking for performance, like a Core i7 processor.
Boy, first grade has really changed.
Totally.
Save big on tech for school with Staples Hot Deals. With up to $500 off select PCs. Ends 9/14 in-store only for participating stores. Visit staples.com/stores/school deals.
Here's Brandon with Parkway Sleep Centers.
Tired of waiting for a sleep treatment? At other sleep centers, it can take 6 to 8 months just to get an appointment and cost you thousands more. Not Parkway Sleep Health Centers. We schedule you within weeks and we'll save you money too. We have over 20 years of experience serving the Triangle. Let our expert team help you sleep better sooner.
End your sleep problems. Live your best life. Experience the Parkway Sleep difference. Visit parkwaysleep.com and start your journey to better sleep today. Parkway Sleep Health Centers. Sound sleep. Sound health.
At Take 5, we're faster than you think. That means we'll change your oil and have you back on the road faster than it takes for your half-cap heavy cream mocha latte to get cold. Just sit back and relax while our fast, friendly team does all the work. Take 5, the stay-in-your-car 10-minute oil change. Appointments now available at participating locations.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm, Raleigh's injury lawyers.
Bounces away into the end zone! Touchdown!
Visit GotBrian.com.
That's GotBrian.com. WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. Take us with you on radio, web, app, Alexa, and YouTube. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
I'm WRAL meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner. The heat's our big story for the next several afternoons. This afternoon, a high of 97, feeling like around 100. 73 tonight, and we're back to 98 again tomorrow. Also feeling like low 100s. But by Thursday, it could feel like as hot as 107, and we could see a heat advisory.
Weather update brought to you by Newcomb & Company, where your comfort is their business. Visit newcombandcompany.com. 4 o'clock check of your money. Dow Jones is up 10 points to 41,250. Market update brought to you by Copa Airlines. Fly Copa Airlines from RDU to Latin America and get 2 vacations in 1. Enjoy a stopover in Panama for up to 7 days with no extra airfare. Book your Panama stopover today at copa.com. That's COPA.com.
Let's move the chains. Time for football at 4.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. For those of you that have been listening for at least a half hour, you know in the 3 o'clock hour, I gave the fan football flyaway keyword a little later than I normally do. So I'm going to do it first thing here in the 4 o'clock hour to make up for it. It's time for our 4 o'clock keyword in our fan football flyaway, sponsored by the fabulous Mandalay Bay Hotel, Atlantic Spas and Billiards, Buffalo Brothers, and Newcomb & Company. This hour's word is hot. H-O-T. Hot.
Like it.
Can you use it in a sentence, Dennis?
Coming in hot.
There you go. This hour's word is hot. Text hot to 919-860-5326. That's 919-860-5326. And enter for your chance to win a trip for 2 to Las Vegas, where you'll see Carolina play Vegas. We're talking the silver and black. It's in September. We'll hook you up with the flight, the room, some money for food. We're hooking it up. All you have to do, it's the smallest, barrier to entry ever. All you have to do is text in a keyword in the next 57 minutes. Just text in the word hot by 5 o'clock. That keyword will expire at 5. Hot to 919-860-5326, and we will have a new keyword in the 6 o'clock hour.
I'll say it again because this happened last hour. Don't call in with the word.
Calling does not get you an entry.
Someone called in 2 minutes after I said don't call in, called in and say, hey, I got the word.
You have to text it in to 919-860-5326 by 5 o'clock. But don't wait. Don't wait. Just do it now.
Just do it now. Don't text and drive, folks. But
pull over. Do it now.
Yeah.
I'm definitely somebody that like, oh, I got 57 minutes. I'll do it later. And then at 6:15, I'm like, oh, really wanted to do that today. So I'm a fan of just get it done at the moment as soon as it's somewhere safe. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Let's jump into football at 4. The funny part about the Panthers, well, let's be real. There's a lot of funny parts about the Panthers. One of the things they're dealing with that is unusual is most teams made a lot of their hard decisions over the last 24 hours. The Panthers made exactly like 50% of their hard decisions over the last 24 hours, and they get to make just as hard decisions over the next 24 hours. They are number 1 in the waiver line. I'm struggling, right? And this is where, like, if I were a GM, I'm calling in my assistant GM, my director of football operations, my head scouts. We're getting in the team room, and I am letting them argue in front of me to see if I can find clarity on what I want to do, because I'm not 100% certain on what the Panthers should be doing with their waiver wire. So I'm going to give you the devil on my shoulder and the angel on my shoulder, right? The two people arguing right now. Part of me says you have the opportunity to really, really help positions of need, right? Which will increase the quality of your roster for week 1 and likely most weeks after that, right? By covering up potholes in your roster, it'll make it a smoother sailing season, which is important for a new coach. It's important for a new GM. You want to show that things are changing. I talk about reinforcement, right? Which means, hey, we've asked you to do a lot of new things. If you do them, look at this improvement, right? If they win 2 of their first 4 games, people are going to be clamoring for what Dave Canales has to tell them, because they're going to go, this is so much different than last year. Thank goodness you're asking us to do these other things.
Coach of the year at that point.
So if you're going that path, you're pretty much exclusively looking for edge rushers, corners, maybe a tackle or 2, right? You're looking for the positions that we've been saying we're concerned about with this roster for the last month, right? You're looking for the best corner, maybe the best 2 corners that have been waived across the NFL, claiming them. You're looking for the best edge rusher, maybe the best 2 edge rushers, claiming them, because that can boost how good of a team you are. But the flip side, right, that's, let's call that the angel argument. The devil argument on my shoulder is saying, this team is not that good, okay? They're improved significantly from last year, and you're going to see that, but they're still in the point of their rebuild where positional importance or where your roster is constructed is a little less important, and it's more about potential, it's more about value, it's more about ceiling, in which case I would say pick up the best young players regardless of position, right? Because the funny part is, like, you know, say something along the lines of, well, we don't need tight end because we don't need let me pick a better example. We don't need a safety because our safeties are really good. All right, that seems like a relatively normal thing to say, right? We like our depth at safety, don't need to claim a safety. In all honesty, do you think Xavier Woods will be here when the Panthers are a contender? If it takes 2, 3, 4 years for the Panthers to be a contender. So if there's a 23-year-old safety out there that is waived by someone else that you think has potential and you can develop, maybe you go get that guy. Will that make you a much better team week 1? No, because Xavier Woods is playing week 1. But does it in some way allow your team to build value over the years? Maybe. I had this conversation, or I had this thought. Bailey Zappi was released by the Patriots. Now, I do not have quarterback anywhere near the list of needs for the Panthers.
Well, depending on who you ask, some might say otherwise.
Realistically.
I know what you're saying, though.
Even, like, by the way, if you hate Bryce Young, you want Bryce Young to play every game this year. If you hate Bryce Young, the fastest way to get Bryce Young out of there is to have him in the game looking not good, right? Right now, he's a bowl of potential. If you want him out there exposing whatever he is if you think he stinks. But that's not even what I'm saying. I'm not talking about replacing Bryce. I'm saying it's pretty set in stone that it's going to be Bryce is the starter, Andy Dalton is the backup. You don't save any money by cutting Andy Dalton, and then Jack Plummer will be on the the practice squad. So why in the world would you need Bailey Zappi? My answer is you don't. But, again, the devil on my shoulder is going, what are you really going to do with the 53rd roster spot? Bailey Zappi is a guy that has starting quarterback experience in the NFL, and somebody might have a quarterback issue in Week 8, in which case you could turn around and trade Bailey Zappi for a 4th-round pick. Value building, right? KJ Henry, edge from Clemson, I think fits both. I think you go claim that guy. From Washington. Mm-hmm. He was waived by Washington, but he was a draft pick. He is a physical specimen. He's at a position of need, and he's young with potential. If you can find 8 guys that fit both my angel argument and my devil argument, you claim them all and you move on with a happy life. But other like Jesse Davis is a tough one for me.
Who's that?
Offensive lineman, waived by the Saints.
Mm-hmm.
He's in his 30s, low 30s, but in his 30s.
He's like 31, 32.
He's 6'6", 320 pounds of NFL tackle, right? Which is a position of need. Ike Ekwonu, Yosh Nijman I really do like, but his health has been not there as of yet.
He's still recovering.
He has Jesse Davis, this player that was waived by the Saints, has 72 career starts. He is a player that is proven to be an NFL caliber offensive lineman. I'm not saying he's a Pro Bowler, but I'm saying he's started 72 games. I think there's a chance he makes your roster better week 1. Right? The depth is there. It makes you more comfortable with the offensive line. It gives you more options if Icky doesn't live up to expectations.
I'm sure there's a lot of teams out there right, looking at him going like, yeah, he can help us.
Which shows you his value. And
sure.
The Panthers have first choice, so they're the ones that could take him.
He's a vested veteran. He's
true.
A free agent.
Also
he can
true.
sign
So
anywhere.
you have to go negotiate. Well played. But let's pretend he's on waivers just for the kind of philosophical argument I'm having. He makes you better week 1. There's like 0% chance I think he makes you better next year or the year after. That's the argument I'm having. I think you could do a lot of damage as far as just making the Panthers a win or 2 better if you just go all in on winning now with your waiver picks. Is that worth passing on the lotto tickets for the future, knowing that a win or 2 better might take you from 5 wins to 6 or 7? From 6 wins to 7. I'm struggling. I don't know who to acquiesce to, the devil or the angel on my shoulder. I do know that if you can find the sliver in the middle of that Venn diagram, I'm all in. I think KJ Henry from Washington is that. I think Caleb Farley, a cornerback, former first-rounder that was waived by the Titans, is that. He's a young player, dealt with injuries, might be great, from the state of North Carolina originally. I think he fits a position of need and has that upside. But it's when you have to start getting to choosing one or the other that it becomes much, much more difficult philosophically to knock out here. Players that are good that have been waived, Tim Patrick at Denver, Kevin Harris, the running back from the Patriots. If you watch the Drake May game, he's the one that scored. Bailey Zappi, Caleb Farley. John Mechie might be available via trade. If that happens, Panthers better be involved. He's Bryce Young's boy from college. And KJ Henry. Those are the ones I think are the most kind of upward mobility.
I think the biggest question is, where do these guys fall on the damn working dog scale? That's the big question.
Well played. Well played. I'll tell you this. Caleb Farley's sophomore year at Virginia Tech, he was a dog. Since then, haven't heard much barking. But if you can get him back to that sophomore year at Virginia Tech, he's got some dog in him. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. I need to tell you about what's going on at Capital Financial Advisory Group. Tim Donnelly here for Coach Pete and everyone at Capital Financial Advisory Group. I'm big on customization. I'm big on don't just give me the spiel, right? In any sales situation or in any like where I'm trying to purchase something situation, if I get the vibe that you're just copy and pasting my name into a speech that you give to everybody, Well, I can check out too, right? I'll zone out and move on with the best of them. Coach Pete and Capital Financial Advisory Group, when they're talking to you about your retirement, they're talking to you, get this, about your retirement. Not the retirement they try to set everyone else up for, and sure, we can use your money to do the same thing. Why would you settle for a boilerplate retirement account or retirement plan when you know how important it is to you and you know your own needs, right? How much do you want to have set up in a trust for your kids? How much do you want to have set aside for your grandkids' education? How much do you want to spend per year in retirement? What do you have to do to reach those goals, right? Your demands, your requests, your finances are different than everybody else's. So get your very own total and customized specifically for you retirement plan and get some great impact coaching along the way from Coach Pete and the Capital Financial Advisory Group. If you call in right now and let them know I sent you, not only will you get the complete and total customized retirement plan, you'll also get Coach Pete's 7 Baby Steps box set for free. But again, you have to say you heard about it from Tim. So call 800-691-3215. That's 800-691-3215. Right now, call them and say, Tim sent me. They'll know what that means. Or you can just text my name, TIM, to 600-700. That's Tim to 600-700 if you're texting. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. We'll be back with Cop or Drop and audio from Dave Doran's press conference coming up next.
Atlantic Spas and Billiards, Buffalo Brothers, and Newcomb & Company want you to see football live in Las Vegas. It's our Fan Football Flyaway. Listen weekdays through August 29th. We'll reveal keywords every hour from noon to 6. Text in the keywords to enter for chances to win a trip for 2 to Las Vegas. We'll fly you to an amazing room at the Mandalay Bay Hotel and Casino, and we'll hook you up with seats for the Carolina-Las Vegas game. The Fan Football Flyaway, only on 99.9 The Fan.
Viva Las Vegas.
An orthopedic surgeon makes understanding pain painless.
It's the biggest frustration that patients have.
This is Dr. Pamela Mehta talking about aches with unexpected origins.
I see patients with pain in their knees, their hips, their back. Oftentimes, the pain is actually coming from their feet.
Bet they aren't expecting to hear that.
Those patients are super surprised. They can't believe that the pain in their knee isn't coming from actually inside the knee. But if you think about it, the feet are the base to your whole body.
That's why she suggests personally fit arch supports. Emphasis on the personal fit.
If you get something basing it just on your shoe size, it isn't going to fit you properly.
And if it doesn't fit well, it probably won't work well.
Go get arch supports fitted to you. It's as easy as going into a Good Feet store.
The Good Feet store is in Raleigh, Chapel Hill, Fayetteville, and other locations across North Carolina. Visit goodfeet.com to book your appointment today or just stop by.
Let's go Pack! Back the Pack at Carolina Ale House this season with award-winning wings and ice-cold pints. With wall-to-wall TVs, Carolina Ale House is the go-to spot for every game. From Honey Buffalo to 5 Alarm to Carolina Barbecue, we've got wings for all flavors. Grab a front row seat, sip on your favorite beer, and cheer on our boys in red. With homemade food and daily drink specials, you can huddle up at our house for every game. Carolina Ale House, your home for football. Hell yeah.
Hey friends, Paul Ihander from 99.9 The Fan for FanDuel. You've heard me talk a lot about FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Well, I've got something a little different for you. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Then, with a YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out-of-market game, the 1 o'clocks and the 4 o'clocks. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel anytime. Just visit FanDuel.com/Paul, Paul with a capital P, and download America's #1 sportsbook. 21 plus and present in North Carolina. Full price of NFL Sunday Ticket will be automatically charged seasonally after free trial. No refunds. Terms, restrictions, and embargoes apply. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
The new Boost Mobile network is offering unlimited talk, text, and data for just $25 a month for life.
That sounds like a threat.
Then how do you think we should say it?
Unlimited talk, text, and data for just $25 a month for the rest of your life?
I don't know.
Until your ultimate demise.
What if we just say forever?
Okay.
$25 a month forever.
Get unlimited talk, text, and data for just $25 a month with Boost Mobile forever.
After 30 gigabytes, customers may experience slower speeds. Customers will pay $25 a month as long as they remain active on the Boost Unlimited plan.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. It is time for Cop or Drop here on The Drive. And what that means is Dennis brings thoughts, ideas, predictions, guesses, movements, observations, other things to the table, and I tell him whether I am copping or dropping. Dennis, what are we throwing into the cop or drop first?
All right, let's start off with the Carolina Panthers since it's roster cutdown day.
Let's do it.
7 wide receivers on their initial 53-man roster. Cop or drop, we'll have 7 wide receivers still on the Panthers roster come week 1.
I will say pretty confidently it won't be those 7. It may be 7. I don't think it'll be those 7. Wide receivers in the NFL, and it's hilarious that it's become this way, are actually kind of interchangeable, right? It used to be like a wide receiver would learn one offense, and it was they have to be in that offense for the rest of their life. Like when they're a free agent, they can only go to other West Coast offense teams. But now every offense is so similar to what many of them ran in college that you can kind of flip-flop guys around. Terrace Marshall Jr., they waived him. He's gone. Jalen Coker, the undrafted free agent rookie, did make the initial 53. David Moore, the player who had a little bit of experience in Tampa with Dave Canales, did make the initial 53. I think those two are a little at risk based on who might be available in waivers, trades down the line, whatever ends up happening. So I'll say game day active roster 6, but there's still there's so much work that needs to be done on this roster, an opportunity for it to change and get better that it's very tough to predict. But I'll say 6, so I'm dropping 7 on game day.
Okay. But are there going to be 7 on the roster as a whole, though? It may not be active game 1, but 7 on the roster as a whole? That's the question.
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
Because what is it? It's 53 men on the roster, 46 active on game day, or something like that?
Maybe 47.
Yeah, I see one of
those rules have changed up a bit.
Especially because like guys like David Moore, if he's still around, are such good special teamers. It's almost like he'll be on the roster as a wide receiver, but like he's a gunner on punt. Like he's the wide receiver coach isn't calling him over very often on the sideline. It's going to be a lot of covering kicks and punts and maybe returning, that sort of thing.
If there's one wide receiver that's going to get waived in order to add someone else, who's the one that gets waived? Because you know that Deontay Johnson, Xavier Legette, Adam Thielen, Jonathan Mingo, those 4 are set.
I think it's the 2 that I mentioned. It's Coker or Moore, and it's dependent upon if whoever they bring in can fill some of that special teams role. If they can't, right, if they're bringing in somebody who's, never made a tackle since high school because they've been a wide receiver only, then I think Coker, they probably try to sneak him down to the practice squad. And if it's somebody that comes in and is like, yeah, I don't mind running down on punts, then they're like, all right, cool, we'll keep Coker and Moore, you get replaced. So it's one of those 2.
All right, let's go.
Which, by the way, I think is part of the reason why Terrace Marshall Jr. is gone is because
I've been saying that
the guy just doesn't do special teams. And let that be a lesson for young football players everywhere. The more you can do. At one point in time, I was a starting quarterback and the holder. The more you can do. Give me those extra snaps. One year, I lettered in college just as a holder. Our offense was good enough that I got the minimum plays to be like a varsity letterman athlete, and all I did was hold.
That's one thing I always said about Terrace Marshall Jr. is like your 5th wide receiver needs to be able to play special teams, and he doesn't.
I mean, if you're not a returner, you got to be able to fly down there and make a tackle.
All right, next one. Let's go Carolina Hurricanes. Cop or drop, Seth Jarvis deal gets done by Labor Day.
Oh, heck yeah. I thought you were going to make that more difficult on me.
Oh, okay.
Yes, by Labor Day. I thought it was going to be like by Friday, which would get it or by tomorrow. I was nervous. If you're watching on YouTube, you saw my face as that question started going like, ooh. And then you said Labor Day, and I went, oh, thank goodness. Yeah, it'll get done. I had this thought with the CeeDee Lamb contract because for fantasy purposes, nobody cares. But I was very much paying attention to the CeeDee Lamb negotiations. That contract is so obviously exactly what they should have come to right after Justin Jefferson signed his contract. Like the moment Justin Jefferson signed his contract, the next day, Cowboys should have agreed to that deal with CeeDee Lamb. I have no idea what waited so long. I feel like we're going to have that same feeling with Seth Jarvis, where they're going to announce the numbers and we're going to go, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. What took you so long to get there? It's. Do you know what we're doing? Do you know what Seth Jarvis and the Canes are doing?
What's that?
It's the sitcom Will They, Won't They romance, and we're in like season 8.
It's like Ross and Rachel.
It's like we've been doing this for a decade, man. Either put a ring on it and series finale, or I'm gonna start watching something else because I'm tired of your petty little disagreements. We all know you're gonna end up together. You're each making $1 million an episode. You're not going anywhere. Like that's what I feel like with Jarvis and the Canes. Like we know you're meant for each other. You've made it obvious over all this time. Just get some other interesting characters. Introduce a new friend from, the next door house. Give us something else. Get together already. I forget if I copped or dropped that, but
you did. You copped it.
Copped it. That's a little bit of wishful thinking also. Get it done.
All right, let's go to Thursday. College football. Copper drop. North Carolina will use both Max Johnson and Connor Harrell on Thursday.
Copping. I do think Mack Brown is playing a little bit of mind games against Minnesota. Sometimes I forget that coaches are also as wildly competitive as the players, right? So, like, if you're an all-time great coach, you have that weird thing in your brain that flips like an all-time great player, right? When you hear or actually, I was just listening to a podcast. I'm not saying he's an all-time great player, but obviously he's done something right to be a second-round pick and he's a starting quarterback in the NFL. I was listening to a podcast with Will Levis, and we all know about Will Levis's tumble in the draft. He was expected to be like the 5th overall pick, and he ended up getting drafted in the 2nd round. Apparently, he got a prank call like halfway through the first round.
Oh.
Which is just, you're a terrible person. I don't care if he went to Kentucky and you're a Mississippi State fan. I don't know who's Kentucky's rival. I don't even know.
Louisville.
Louisville, obviously. I was thinking conference rival, but Louisville makes more sense. I don't care if you're a Louisville fan. That's a dirty, dirty thing to do. But do you know what I liked about what Will Levis said on this podcast? He said, I have the number saved. I'm going to find out who it is one day. And I was like, that's the weird thing that makes athletes good. Is it productive? Heck no. But it's that weird thing, like if social media existed when like the Michael Jordans and the Charles Barkleys and all them were Joe Montanas, you're darn right they would know like this touchdown is going to be for @NinerHater 4747. Like it's just a thing. So Mack Brown, here's what I think it literally happened with Mack Brown. Mack Brown thought he was going to be the cordial coach that he is. He was going to post, Minnesota would post their depth chart. He would post UNC's depth chart, and they would both have a little bit of information about what to expect for game 1. And then Minnesota came out and said they weren't putting out a depth chart, and the little weird switch in all-time competitors flipped in Mack Brown's head, and he said, not only am I not giving you a depth chart, I'm going to play both quarterbacks. You're not going to know what's coming. If you want to hide things from us, we'll show you how to hide things. And like I'm calling it right now. This isn't even what you asked. I'm calling it right now. There'll be a fake special teams play on UNC's part. There's going to be a fake punt. There's going to be a reverse on a field goal. There's going to be something because Mack Brown has been triggered by PJ Fleck of Minnesota.
I'm all for the hijinks.
I just think it's now to the point where they're getting after each other. So what was the question? Oh, are they going to play both quarterbacks?
Yeah.
Yes. I think if Max Johnson is the starting quarterback, it'll be more of a traditional, we'll put Connor Harrell in for a couple run plays, kind of like we saw from Georgia Tech, because Harrell runs a 4-4, and you want to use that. If Harrell is the starting quarterback, I think it's more like what SMU did, which I dislike, which is like, hey, first drive of the second quarter, Max Johnson gets. And then from that point forward, it's play it by ear. But yes, I think both quarterbacks will play because they're so different. It's tempting.
All right, let's go to NC State. Cop or drop, they have 2 1,000-yard receivers this season. Cop or drop?
Copping it. Thank you for not making me choose which two. The easy money would be Casey Concepcion and Noah Rogers.
Sure.
I've heard really good things about Dakari Collins.
Really?
Who's a returner, which sometimes those returners, you bring in a bunch of transfers, they show up on some, you're not taking my job. I've heard very good things about Collins. Is there an off chance somebody like Justin Jolie or Wesley Grimes, tight end or the incoming transfer from Wake, maybe taking an injury somewhere and then they build on that role? But yes, I think they have 2 1,000-yard wide receivers. And by the way, Grayson McCall is comfortable slinging it 45 times a game. I don't think they will because it's still NC State and it's still Dave Doran. But if they need to, Grayson McCall can complete 70% of his passes on 40 attempts, which can keep a lot of mouths fed. I'm copping a lot today. I must be in a good mood.
Yeah, you clearly are. And plus also, they have some games this season. Like, for example, like on Thursday, wouldn't surprise me if Concepcion and Noah Rogers both have 100 yards and it's like beginning of the third quarter.
I think once they get the 2-score lead, it would behoove State. Again, coaches know this, players don't. Make sure a few different guys get theirs. Because against Tennessee, you can't do that. Tennessee, if Casey Concepcion's the one being effective, you get him the ball 15 times. If Noah Rogers is winning his one-on-ones, you keep throwing it to him against Tennessee. You got to do whatever it takes to win. Against a team like Western Carolina, if you leave the starters in one more drive, which gets Justin Jolie 2 more catches and Jordan Waters a touchdown, and he didn't have one yet, that goes a long way towards like everybody, feeling included, right? I always use the example of Shaq talks about his point guards, and it's like, who is your favorite point guard to play with? You're expecting like Derek Fisher because he won a bunch of championships. You're expecting, some of the greats. Rondo, he played with late in his career with the Celtics. He goes straight to white chocolate, Jason Williams. And the reason being, he would ignore Pat Riley if he felt somebody needed the ball. So if he was coming down and Pat Riley was saying, Dwayne, on the ISO or whatever, and Jason Williams just knew Shaq ran up and down the floor 3 times and he hasn't gotten the ball in the post yet, he'd wave off Pat Riley, not Pat Williams, Pat Riley, and throw the ball to Shaq in the post. I think Grayson McCall is going to need to have a little bit of that, but he can't do it against Tennessee. Tennessee, if Dwayne Wade's the hot hand, you keep giving it to him. But against Western Carolina, hey, you went a quarter without getting the ball to Casey Concepcion? Let's get it to him 3 times on the next series before we pull him out and put the backups in.
All right, final one here, real fast.
Let's do it.
In the regular season, Malik Murphy we're going Duke. In the regular season, Malik Murphy throws for over 3,000 yards in the regular season. So we're averaging 250 yards plus per game.
It's a good number.
Because it's 12-game season.
It's a good number, meaning like you've set a good line.
Yeah.
Around there, I'll take the under. I'll take the drop.
Okay.
I'll get 1 drop in here. I think Jordan Moore is worth 1,000, 1,200 by himself. I look around their team. I think they're going to try to run the ball, particularly early in games. And I think he's going to be under pressure a lot. So it could be tough to throw for huge amounts of yards. I do like Malik Murphy, though. I like him a lot. But no, a little bit less. Maybe 225 a game, something like that, but not quite 250. Yep. And I guess you also have to include a little bit of injury possibility. If you miss 2-3 games, it becomes darn near impossible to hit that number.
Unless you're just slinging it.
Yeah, unless you're Mike Leach, R.I.P., the late great, shows out and is your offensive coordinator. So there you go. Cop or drop here on The Drive with Tim Donnelly on 99.9 The Fan. I was tempted to go cop there just to sweep with all cops and just be optimistic for the day, but I have to call him as I see him. Speaking of, we were talking about a lot of college football there at the end. We're going to hear some comments from Dave Doran and Grayson McCall, 2 of the movers and the shakers when it comes to NC State head coach and quarterback. You can join the drive. That's this show live from Carter Finley Stadium on Thursday afternoon for the Pack home opener. We'll be there for this entirety of the show. We're talking 3 to 6 out there on the plaza, hanging out. If you're there, if you're tailgating, swing by, bring us some delicious food. It's all served up by Carolina Ale House, our appearance at Carter Finley Stadium. Back the Pack at Carolina Ale House this season with award-winning wings and ice-cold pints. With wall-to-wall TVs, Carolina Ale House is your go-to spot for every game. Again, the drive will be at Carter Finley this Thursday for the state game. Do you know who else is going to be at Carter Finley for the state game?
Who else is going to be there?
Yep.
I know who's not going to be.
You?
Yeah.
Dave Dorn will be there.
He will be.
He better, at least. He better.
Allegedly.
He better. He spoke to the media today, and with so much of this season being about the new players on the state offense, so much of it is going to come down to Grayson McCall. Dave Doran, again, speaking with the media, explained how he likes that Grayson McCall is being indoctrinated into the ACC in practice every day by a Tony Gibson-led defense. That's their defensive coordinator. Here's Dorn.
Yeah, it's fun, to see the chess match, Coach and I and Coach Gibson back and forth, and then the quarterback's obviously a huge part of that. And they have good conversations after practice, Grayson and Tony, on what you saw and what was hard today, and I think it's good information. Grayson's played football a long time. He's seen a lot as a starter, and so I think he appreciates being tested. There's not a coverage that he's going to see all season that he didn't see in training camp. So he's definitely ready for what's in front of him.
Now, that answer, by the way, in that press conference was elicited by a question from our very own Graham Hill, who sometimes produces this show. It's a great question. It's a great answer. So that's what a great question is supposed to elicit, right? A great answer. I think one of the most unknown to like the casual fan, but important relationships on a college football team is between quarterback and defensive coordinator, right? Obviously everybody knows quarterback and offensive coordinator, or quarterback and receiver. Quarterback and defensive coordinator. That respect is worth its weight in gold, right? Because you get confused in practice. That's when you're supposed to be confused, right? You might be running a play for the first time, a route concept for the first time. You might be seeing it against a particular defense for the first time. And if you get confused and, like, after practice, walking off the practice field, you can run up to the defensive coordinator and go like, what the heck did you guys do on that third down in team period? And they can explain it to you. It gives you the answers to the test, right? Here's what we're trying to do to confuse you. Here's what the defense in that look is trying to get you to do. They're trying to bait you into throwing this. They're trying to trap you with this. All right, cool. Thank you. Right? You see, like, I'm trying to think of a good example. Cam Chancellor was this way. Not many people know about Cam Chancellor, Legion of Boom, safety for the Seahawks, played at Virginia Tech. Not many people know this about Cam, but he showed up in college as a quarterback, right? I love it when my safeties played quarterback in high school because they know a little bit about what the offense is trying to do to them, and they can then use that information to fool them, right? I want my quarterback thinking like a defensive coordinator. I want my safeties thinking like an offensive coordinator. So Dave Doran talking about how he likes to see Grayson McCall and Tony Gibson kind of battle it out as a chess match in practice. I would love that too. One of my favorite relationships was in college was with our defensive coordinator, who, by the way, is the safeties coach now for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, won a Super Bowl ring. Antoine Winfield, he's gotten very, very, very well paid for the improvement he's made at safety. That's this guy, Nick Rapone. Look it up. Great dude. I remember the day he started calling me by a name. He's a little bit of a character. His thing was, you go up and talk to him. He goes, quarterback. I'm like, all right, call me by my position. Not great. He goes, I'm sure you're a nice guy, but I don't know that yet. I'm sure you're a hard worker, but I don't know that yet. Until I do, don't talk to me. And he walked off the field, and I was like, all right, well, guess what? Guess when I'm confused by the defense, I'm going to have to go somewhere else to get an explanation. And then about week 3 or 4 of the season, I was walking down the hallway. He just looked at me at the time. I was number 14. He just nodded and went, 14? And I was like, wait a second. He didn't call me quarterback. That was specific to me.
So I got the approval from Dad.
Well, yeah, exactly. This is a guy he's not even coaching on my side of the ball. And I was like, did anybody hear that? Like, it was very, very, there was a very proud moment. And from that point on, if he fooled me, he'd be coming up to me after practice, like, here's how I got you. And it lasted that way for the next 3.5 years. And he's a great coach. If that's Tony Gibson, Tony Gibson's a great one, by the way. If Grayson McCall is getting that insight from Tony Gibson, fantastic for NC State.
Yeah, Tony Gibson's confused a lot of quarterbacks in his lifetime.
Exactly, and can explain how.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing, right? He gives you the answers to the test. That's always the way I thought about it, right? And there's nothing better. What's the legendary mic'd up moment between Cam Newton and Clay Matthews, where Clay Matthews is screaming,
watch the wheel route?
Yeah, it was McCaffrey, like, watch the wheel, because in all of their film, when they lined up that way or had that motion or whatever it was, Christian McCaffrey ran the out and up, the wheel. And Clay Matthews was yelling at his defense to be ready for it. And Cam looks at him and goes, "You watch film, huh?" "I do too. Say go." And they ran the fake wheel and threw a touchdown to Christian McCaffrey, who, basically acted like he was running the wheel, slammed on the brakes, and cut it back. It was a perfect play call. There's no better feeling than recognizing I know what the defense is trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
I know how to beat it, and they have no clue. And that's the kind of stuff that happens when a defensive coordinator and a quarterback have a close relationship. And then it gets really annoying because you get to know each other so well that they're so experienced, they're just one-upping you in scrimmages and stuff. And you're like, I shouldn't have told them that I like to throw the corner route against that look because he just baited me into throwing the corner route. And everybody's making fun of me now. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. We will get back to audio from Grayson McCall and what he's looking forward to in Week 1 later in the show. But right now, we'll get back to our very own Dennis Cox.
Hope everyone is enjoying the last bit of their summer, being safe out there. By the way, Dennis Cox here for my friends over at Law Tigers. I know a lot of people, summertime, still want to get out and about, moving. Everyone's excited for fall season, fall weather, getting outside to our favorite sporting events. Maybe we got a bunch of different activities planned out. I know one thing that I'm going to be doing a lot this fall. It's going to be riding my motorcycle. Weather's going to be great. I love enjoying the scenery, especially when the fall colors get here. But also understand the risks of being on a motorcycle. It's anytime we get out on the road, whether it's on a motorcycle, whether it's on a bike, whether it's in your car, there's always a risk of a potential accident. And if you're injured in a motorcycle accident, you need to give Law Tigers a call at 1-800-LAW-TIGERS before you call your insurance company. Here's the thing. Whether you get in an accident maybe this coming fall, give them a call. Or if you got in an accident, let's say a few months ago, and your insurance company isn't doing what they need to do, go ahead and give Law Tigers a call. Because with Law Tigers, they know what your bike is worth. They know what your gear is worth because they're riders too. They know what you're going through after an accident, and your case evaluation with them is always free, and they do not get paid until your case settles. So call 1-800-LAW-TIGERS, North Carolina's motorcycle lawyers. Law Tigers is a network of independent law firms who are members of the American Association of Motorcycle Injury Lawyers. Law Tigers is not a law firm.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan, will be back with a little feedback frenzy. Your comments to everything we've talked about over the last handful of days coming up next.
It's bow time. It's not just football season. It's tailgate season. And that includes every kind of football, whether it's got goalkeepers or goalposts. The kick is good! Because it doesn't matter where or how you tailgate. When you've got crispy chicken and fluffy buttermilk biscuits from Bojangles, your tailgate is better than great. It's legendary. Head to Bojangles and order your tailgate box with boldly seasoned chicken, fixins, biscuits, and legendary iced tea today. It's bow time.
Planning a tailgate? Then it's bow time. Bojangles has everything you need for the perfect tailgate, no matter how many fans you're trying to feed. There's the original tailgate, the super tailgate, and for a really big crowd, the jumbo tailgate special. And if you like your chicken off the bone, choose the Supreme's tailgate special that includes 12 perfectly seasoned tenderloin fillets. So grab the tickets, get that Bojangles tailgate special, and go. It's bow time.
Is that your new Nissan Rogue?
Yeah.
Crazy story. I'm at the Nissan end of summer sales event when Laura, the saleswoman, asks,
"Want to test drive the Rogue?"
I'm like, let's go. We're driving when Laura says,
"Want to see something cool? VC turbo engine."
I hit the gas and whoosh. I'm like, okay, wasn't expecting that. Laura goes,
"Check this out."
She shows me the miles per gallon, and I'm like, wow, that's pretty impressive fuel economy.
These new Nissan Rogues are going fast.
I knew I had to have that Nissan Rogue. Crazy, right?
Wait till you hear how I got my Nissan Sentra. Get up to $2,500 total savings on remaining select early model 2024 Rogue Platinum trims. 2024 EPA fuel economy estimates from 28 city 34 highway to 30 city 37 highway for 2024 Nissan Rogue. Actual mileage may vary. Total savings consists of $1,250 retail customer cash plus $1,250 bonus cash on select remaining 2024 Rogue inventory as available at your local dealership. Select Rogue bonus cash available on 40% of dealers' most aged inventory. Updated weekly. Available on purchase from new dealer stock. Contact your local dealer for current inventory information. Ends 9/3/24.
Are you ready to rule the realm? With the new Game of Thrones scratch-off from the North Carolina Education Lottery, you can. This epic game gives you the chance to win up to $200,000 instantly, or a trip to beautiful Napa Valley to play the Seven Kingdoms experience, where you could take home your share of up to $7 million in cash prizes. So treat yourself like royalty. Play the Game of Thrones scratch-off today, and let your reign begin. Must be 18 to play. Approximate overall odds are 1 in 4.31. Problem gambling helpline 877-718-5543.
Thanks for calling Discover. This is Diego.
Hi, Diego. It's Jennifer Coolidge. I just want to say your cashback match makes me feel so special. It really inspired me.
That's great. Doubling the cashback you've earned at the end of your first year is what we do.
Well, I'm doubling everything now. Double dating, double dipping, double feature, double header, double whammy. Basically double or nothing.
You earn, we match. Discover Cashback Match. See terms at discover.com/creditcard.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. So I want your voices to be part of this show, okay? And we've been doing something we call a feedback frenzy for a while, and we're going to continue to work these in. This is our thank you to you for commenting on our YouTube, commenting on our social medias, and we bring those comments to air, talk about them, agree, disagree, whatever. That's what sports are. It's a debate. Starting the first Monday after a Panthers game, so the 9th of September, we're going to treat Mondays something we call Monday Sound Off. What that means is we want you to call in and sound off. We want you to call in. This is starting on Monday after the first, kind of true, full, all-in football weekend, college football going on, regular season NFL. And we're going to ask you to call in and voice your opinions there. Again, we want you to be a part of this show. The way we do it right now, feedback frenzy. It's all online. Dennis pulls the comments. We talk about them. Dennis, what comments are we talking about?
Well, let's actually go to our YouTube live chat today.
Ooh, even better.
This one comes from Cody Barahona.
What's up,
Talking about Deontay Foreman being released by the Cleveland Browns, saying, Foreman in Carolina was tough. Bring him back.
You know what? There's going to be competition for running backs.
For sure.
Dallas needs running backs.
Yeah, they do.
Green Bay needs running backs. I don't know if everybody's noticed, but A.J. Dillon, who was in the mix to be their second running back behind Josh Jacobs, season-ending IR with a neck injury.
Ooh.
Marshawn Lloyd, who they drafted, I believe, in the 3rd round.
Okay.
IR designated to return for 4 weeks with a hamstring injury. They have a guy I haven't recognized, Wilson, behind Josh Jacobs, and that's it. So I wouldn't be surprised if Kevin Harris, who was waived by the Patriots, Deontay Foreman, who at least for the moment, although he is a vested veteran, so he can choose to go back to Cleveland if they have an agreement, at the moment is available, or a few other running backs aren't highly prized in the offseason market now because there are some teams in desperate need of running backs. Which also means trade him Miles Sanders. Hey, Green Bay, why would you make a claim for Deontay Foreman? Why would you make a claim for Kevin Harris when you could have this very, very impressive, Miles Sanders for the low, low price of a 5th-round pick? Why not, huh?
Honestly, hey, we'll give you Miles Sanders in a 7th if you give us a 6th.
And take that $4 million off our books?
Yeah.
Heck yeah. That's what I'm saying.
Deal.
Make the call. But yes, Deontay Foreman, him and Chuba, they had the little 1-2 punch going. It was a fun time.
Oh, it was a great time. It was a great time. Well, yesterday we had a conversation about the Panthers' final preseason game. The first time we got to see Bryce Young and the starting offense actually out there on the field. This one comes from Jeffrey Thompson. Man, how bad are we as a franchise celebrating a good practice and one drive in a preseason game against second and third string players?
Should I answer that question honestly? How bad are we?
Yeah.
You were the worst team in the NFL last year and didn't even have your first-round pick to benefit from it. You are historically bad. That's how bad you are. So you're darn right we're going to celebrate the little things. The funny part is they're like, oh, my gosh, it was one drive in a preseason game. Are we really celebrating that? You must not have been around a couple weeks ago when we celebrated a joint practice. Like, we celebrate the good because last year there wasn't much. Yes, if you are a Chiefs fan, you are probably so spoiled that a preseason drive doesn't get your juices flowing.
Nah, it doesn't.
If you're a Panthers fan, you're darn right your preseason single drive gets your juices flowing. That's part of the fandom. Part of covering the team is it's all relative, right? Georgia Tech celebrated the heck out of beating a top 10 Florida State team. If Clemson beat them, wouldn't be that much of a celebration. It's all relative. Yes, the Panthers were really bad over the last 5 years. If the tides are turning, I want to pay attention. But thank you for listening. And I get what you're saying.
No, I totally get it.
I just have some fun, man. Order the dessert every once in a while.
Huh. Some of us, myself, order too much dessert. Also on that same video, because you mentioned about how some of the throws that Bryce Young made, if there were other quarterbacks in the NFL that would have made them, like a Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, whomever it might be, might get more recognition for some of the completions that he made, including the rollout to his left and the 4th down to Deontay Johnson. And this one comes from HB Dab, fellas.
What's up, HB?
Bryce hasn't earned the recognition the other quarterbacks you mentioned have.
A few things. One, I'm not saying Bryce Young is as good as Aaron Rodgers or Matt Stafford or whoever I mentioned. I'm saying that throw would be a viral moment.
Mm-hmm.
Viral moments aren't like a accumulation of your entire career's resume. But also, I want to point this out. One of the names I mentioned, and I know I mentioned this one, was Caleb Williams.
And someone actually mentioned, Caleb Williams hasn't done anything.
They've done the exact same thing.
Which is nothing.
Which is win a Heisman, be the number 1 overall pick after the next year, put up a ridiculous amount of statistics in college, and then go to the NFL. If they were both to end their career now, whenever they pass away, hopefully years and years and years into the future, the first couple lines on their resume would be the exact same, their athletic resume. If one goes on to, cure cancer or something, then that'll jump. Different. But Heisman Trophy winner, 1st overall pick, 5-star recruit, they were all the same. So if Caleb Williams makes that same throw, running to your left, throwing across your body to a guy on the sideline, oh my goodness, there'd be a whole Hard Knocks episode about it. If Bryce Young does it, nothing. So maybe I shouldn't have used Aaron Rodgers and Mahomes as also examples. I should have just used Caleb Williams. Or not even, didn't have to be Caleb Williams. If it were Drake May. Drake May had a very almost identical play, and it was called back on a penalty. Mm-hmm. And I still saw it circulate around NFL viral circles more than Bryce Young's did.
I think it's because that one was on NBC Sunday Night Football. Yeah. So just everyone was watching a little bit more tuned in.
I've seen Jaden Daniels' first pass, the one down the right sideline, which was a good go ball, good deep pass, but nothing that you wouldn't expect most NFL quarterbacks to physically be able to do. I've seen that 100 times. I've had to search out the Bryce Young completion because I want to talk about it. Maybe this is where, like, we talk about the ACC needs a Paul Feinbaum.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Panthers need a Paul Feinbaum. Just somebody who, when the good happens, pours gasoline on the fire, and when the bad happens, yells about how it doesn't matter anymore. Do we have any more? Are we rolling?
Oh, no, we do have another one here.
Let's
we
do it.
talked yesterday about because Florida State lost to Georgia Tech on Saturday in week 0, how the door's open for really anyone in the ACC, including NC State or North Carolina, to go take the darn thing, including what Peanut3844 said, wide open for Miami, baby. All about the U.
Yes. Technically, yes. Although Miami plays Florida State, right?
They do.
So it's not wide open for Miami.
They still got to beat them.
You'd have to go beat Florida State. Against you, Florida State still controls their own destiny. Against a team like NC State, Florida State does not, right? Because if NC State wins all except for one of their games, they'd likely win on the tiebreaker as long as they don't lose to Georgia Tech. So there's shades of gray there. Also, I mean, I get it. Miami's good. I get you on paper, they're really good. I get it. And maybe this is like, the funny part is, do you know what Miami is? They're the boy who cried wolf. Only it's like the boy who cried contender. I've fallen for it in the past, where you run down your lineup and you go, hey, we got a 5-star wide receiver, we got a 5-star quarterback, we got 4 or 5 stars on the offensive line, we have this impact player, that NFL draft pick, we have this first-rounder on defense, this first-rounder rushing the passer, and I've gone, yeah, you guys are probably going to be really good. I should think you're going to be one of the best in the ACC. But you do that 5 or 6 times only to have them finish with 7 wins, 8 wins over and over and over again. You get to the point where you can make the same argument, and I just don't believe you as much. I get it. You have the 5 stars. I get it. You have the NFL guys. Maui Goa, your tackle, is going to be the next Jonathan Ogden. I get it. Cam Ward is a preseason player of the year. Logically, I understand it, but I've fallen for this trick too many times. Go cry wolf to someone else. It's your own fault. You've conditioned me to be this cynical about your outlook over the last, really, since 2003. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. We have the starting 5 coming up next and another keyword in our fan football flyaway. But first, here's Dennis Cox.
Hey, Dennis Cox here for my friends over at Loan Pronto. Great news for you homeowners out there. Rates have plummeted big time. And guess what? This is an opportunity for you to go out there and refinance. Get yourself out there into that lower interest rate. Because guess what here, folks? Rates have come down. Rates have dropped big time. Loan Pronto even has APRs out there in the 4s. They even actually have locked in people recently at 4.99% APR, folks. That is something that I know a lot of people have been wanting for a long, long time. And guess what? Whether you just got your rate last month, last week, or even last year, stop now. Call Loan Pronto. If you got an APR above 6%, call Loan Pronto right now. Give them a call about what they can do for you regarding your new rate. And these rates coming down, this is where Loan Pronto has your back, folks. Give them a call right now. Again, even if you're in a process with another lender, give Loan Pronto a call. 919-381-1760. 919-381-1760. LoanPronto.com. 919-381-1760. Equal housing lender. NMLS 1661781. On approved credit. NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Starting 5 coming up next, including audio from Grayson McCall, the quarterback of NC State, ahead of their Game 1 this Thursday. Stick around.
Move your sports day forward.
Deontay Johnson, you remember what a football looks like in a real game? Yep, you do. Adam Thielen, remember what a football looks like in a real game? Yep, you do. Bryce Young, remember what it's like to execute at a higher level after that awful year 1? Yeah, you kind of did.
Get set up. Join Next Up with Paul Ihander. Mornings at 9 on 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
Here's Megan with Parkway Sleep Centers.
Are sleepless nights affecting your life? Parkway Sleep Health Centers can help. We've treated sleep disorders in the Triangle and beyond for over 20 years. We offer sleep studies, office visits, CPAP machines, supplies, and more. And our streamlined process allows us to see you sooner and usually saves hundreds of dollars.
End sleep problems. Live your best life. Experience the Parkway Sleep difference. Visit parkwaysleep.com and start your journey to better sleep today. Parkway Sleep Health Centers. Sound sleep. Sound health.
We buy any car. Why sell your car at WeBuyAnyCar.com? Because selling it yourself can be, well, you know.
Okay, I'll give you half now.
And?
No, and just half.
What? Avoid the hassle. Come to We Buy Any Car instead. Get in, get out, and get paid at a fair price.
Yeah, I can't do half. I could probably bump it up to like 50%. Just go. Okay.
Get your free online valuation now at We Buy Any Car.
Breaking news coming in from Bet365, where every nail-biting overtime win, breakaway, pick six, three-point shot, underdog win, buzzer beater, shootout, walk-off, and absolutely every play in between is amazing. From football to basketball and hockey to baseball, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Gambling problem? Call 1-877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov. 21 plus only.
Wait, she's posting pics with a dude in Mexico. We just broke up.
If Heineken Silver was a doom-scrolling ex-boyfriend, it would have all the feels. None of the new boyfriend jealousy.
She looks happy. I'm gonna message her. Hey, Stace, loved the super cute post with @RodRyan7. Enjoy Mexico and that ceviche spot from last year. Send pics.
Heineken Silver, world-class light beer. Only 2.9 grams of carbs and 95 calories. All the taste, no bitter endings. Order now at Heineken.com/silver. Must be 21 and older to purchase. Enjoy Heineken responsibly.
Hey, what do you say? John Forsland here from my friends at Buffalo Brothers. I live and work on both coasts, travel the country, and there's nothing better than Buffalo Brothers. The best wings on the planet and half-price appetizers Monday through Friday, 4:30 to 6. Visit all 5 Triangle locations and ask for their great daily beer specials. And how about this special? Every Sunday, they have $6 Bloody Marys and $6.50 Jamesons. Dine in, carry out. BuffBrothers.com. Aw, man, now I want wings.
At Take 5, we're faster than you think. That means we'll change your oil and have you back on the road before you can count all the change in your center console. Cha-ching, baby! Just sit back and relax while our fast, friendly team does all the work. Take 5, the stay in your car 10-minute oil change. Appointments now available at participating locations.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm, North Carolina's injury lawyers.
Visit GotBrian.com.
That's GotBrian.com. WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. Take us with you on radio, web, app, Alexa, and YouTube. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm WRAL meteorologist Mike Mays. Just oppressively hot out there and more to come for the next couple of days. 73 the low tonight. It's mostly clear. Mostly sunny for your Wednesday. Hotter, the high at 98. 98 on Thursday. We do have the chance for some storms.
Weather update brought to you by Newcomb & Company, where your comfort is their business. Visit newcombandcompany.com. 5 o'clock check of your money. Dow Jones up 10 points today to 41,250. Market update brought to you by The Good Feet Store. Ready to step into a healthy and active lifestyle? Come to The Good Feet Store and experience the difference. Discover how a simple step can lead to a life of pain-free possibilities.
It's 5 o'clock. Time to serve up the biggest sports stories of the day. Here comes your starting 5.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. As always, or has become tradition here, at some point during the starting 5, we will give you the next keyword in the fan football flyaway, but you're going to have to stay on your toes. Or your fingers. I don't know. Keep your dialing fingers, your texting fingers ready. For the fan football flyaway keyword coming up sometime during the starting 5. Now let's jump into the starting 5, as always, starting with number 5. We have audio from Grayson McCall. the starting quarterback for NC State, ahead of their game against Western Carolina this Thursday. You can join us, The Drive, or at least me. Dennis won't be there. You can join the show live from Carter Finley Stadium on Thursday afternoon for the Pack home opener, served up by Carolina Ale House. Back the Pack at Carolina Ale House this season with award-winning wings and ice-cold pints with wall-to-wall TVs. Carolina Ale House is your go-to spot for every game. Grayson McCall will be one of the most eyeballs watching players of that game. And he was asked how week 1 is different than the rest of the year, the other games they'll face. This was his answer.
Word of the week this week is urgency. Starting off.
We'll try that one more time.
Always a little unique. Obviously don't have a lot of tape to look at, so we're looking at last year's stuff and what their coaching staff's done in the past, and got an extra week to prepare, so just taking it day by day. But we feel good, feel like we're ready to go.
Here's the thing. If you don't have much tape on a team and you are NC State, nationally ranked, one of the handful of favorites for the Atlantic Coast Conference Championship, and you're playing Western Carolina, just focus on you, right? Just focus on you. And if you need to, simplify it and just be bigger, faster, and stronger. We used to play a Division II team every year. I played FCS football, and there was a year where, let's just say the first half didn't go the way we'd like. Coaches not very pleased at halftime because we should have been kicking them all over the field, and we weren't. The second half felt very much like we're going to run dive. We're going to be bigger. Our offensive line is going to move the pile. Our running backs are going to be faster. And when we throw it, it's going to be a hitch or a go. And we're not going to outthink ourselves. They got very frustrated, our coaches. And it just simplified it, and we were just bigger, faster, and stronger. We ended up winning by enough. Still not enough for the coaches, but it wasn't in danger of being an upset. If you don't have the full scouting report on Western Carolina, simplify it, mow them down, move on.
Yeah, this is where you do your base, what's our core stuff.
Yep.
This is the core stuff that everything's going to be built off of. You do that in this game.
And the other thing you need to keep in mind is every single thing you do, Tennessee is watching.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't necessarily not too much don't run that. I don't want Tennessee to know. But there could be a little bit of, hey, if we want to run a particular play action next week, let's make sure we run that run play twice this week. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Let's make sure every time Grayson McCall reverse pivots out of under center, it's a handoff. Because next week, we might want to have him reverse pivot out of under center and make it a play action. Just know that everything you do, Tennessee is going to be watching. If you walk into the stadium and open the door with your left hand, they're going to go, ooh, is he ambidextrous? They're going to watch everything. Grayson McCall was asked what the mentality for the team is going into week 1. Here it is.
Word of the week this week is urgency. Starting off week 1 with the word urgency. So just really getting out there, pushing the momentum, pushing the system to get up and go. And, I think with a lot of older guys that, this is their last season, I think it really pushes that in the right direction. So, that leadership definitely takes the team in the right direction.
There's almost, I would say, 2 ideas for this game for the coaching staff. One is if the team shows up with urgency, and one is if the team starts slow. And we've seen teams handle the first game of the year in each of those ways every year. If you show up with urgency and you're pedal to the floor immediately after opening kick, you might get your starters one drive in the second half, right? You might have a couple stats drives. All right, let's make sure Justin Jolie gets a catch. Let's make sure Noah Rogers gets a catch. Let's make sure Casey Concepcion gets his hands on the ball a few times. If you show up and start slow, the coach is going to go all right, we got to win the game, so let's focus on that before you get to everything else. Urgency is a good thing going into a game against Western Carolina.
There's also that drive, maybe it's the third drive of the game. All right, Jordan Waters, you're going to get the ball 3 straight carries.
Offensive line?
4 straight, yeah.
It's the one where the coach during the timeout, you see it with the sky cam, and the coach is hitting each of the offensive linemen in the head, right? Just tapping them on the helmet, and you're like, okay, this one's going to be 6 straight run plays, isn't it? Quarterback sitting behind him what are you saying, coach? This doesn't concern you. I'm talking to the big boys. And then, Jordan Waters is somewhere in there also. That's number 5. Let's jump to number 4.
We are the 4 horsemen. Woo!
There are quite a few Panthers storylines today with it being cutdown day. As of an hour ago, teams had to be down to 53 men on their roster. We haven't talked a ton about the big names around the league. Some surprising names. Desmond Ridder.
The former starting quarterback last year for the Atlanta Falcons,
was waived by the Cardinals. That's outlandish. And do you know what else it is? This is a lesson for there's a ton of really, really good football players in the area. We're talking high school. We're talking college. If any of them are listening or if anyone knows them, pass along this one bit of information. Keep the big, bold guarantees to yourself when you're drafted. Desmond Ridder had one of those quotes when he went to Atlanta, which was like, I'm not leaving until we get multiple Super Bowls, something along those lines.
Whoops.
It's hard to do. It's hard just to stay in the league for more than a year or two. Don't set yourself up for that. He'll probably get picked up. I assume at least a practice squad. The guy has starting NFL experience. Noah Brown was waived by the Texans. This guy had 567 receiving yards last year. You want to look at who the best rosters are top to bottom? Look at who they're cutting. The Texans are good, man. They have Stephon Diggs, they have Tank Dell, they have Nico Collins, they have John Mechie. These are all just wide receivers that make a player like Noah Brown expendable. There's a lot of teams out there Noah Brown would be a starter, which I think he will be once he gets claimed. But it's 567 receiving yards, not good enough to even stick around. It's absurd. Kadarius Toney, Kansas City Chiefs.
Are we really surprised by that, though?
I mean, he's a former first-round pick.
Yeah.
I like to tease Mike Glennon, friend of the show, former NC State quarterback. I'm actually going to bring it up because it's so funny. I like to say Kadarius Toney is only a thing in the NFL because of Mike Glennon. Now, he was a first-round pick out of Florida to the Giants. If you go and look up Kadarius Toney's entire history in the NFL, okay? He has his second highest receiving yards in a single game is 78 yards. There was a game with the Giants where Daniel Jones was taken out of the game early and Mike Glennon went in as the backup and played most of the game. Kadarius Toney had 189 yards that game. In his career, he has 760. The one game he played with Mike Glennon, he had 189.
Oh.
So the fact that he's even kept around this long might be just because Mike Glennon fed him the ball a ton when they were on the Giants. Caleb Farley, former first-round pick, cornerback out of Virginia Tech for Tennessee. He was waived. Kevin Harris, running back for New England. He was waived. There are some good players that get waived every year. Now it's about where they catch on, if they catch on. Does someone claim them on waivers? Do they have to play the free agency game? There are some good players out there that just get numbered out, which, again, is part of the tough part about the NFL, right? Every year there's another 1,000 kids coming out of college, hungry as heck to take a job, and 500 of them get a job. That means 500 people from last year just watch their dream end. That's number 4. Let's jump to number 3.
1, 2, 3.
Happy birthday, Mack Brown. Head coach, UNC football, 73 years old today.
Ironically, we actually had cake today.
We did have cake. We celebrated all August birthdays in the office today.
We did.
We somehow, by the way, this didn't even come from the sports section. You were still out.
Yeah.
When we do a little thing, everybody gets together. Rylan in our promotions department gives a speech about the people that are having their birthdays.
It's just a fun.
It's very funny. It's a good time. They started listing all the August birthdays, and there's a bunch of them in our office. I'm not going to list them, but just know that it's a heavy month for birthdays in our office.
Makes sense.
And somebody just said, and Roger Federer. Not coming from the sports side, by the way.
Oh, okay.
I was just like, fun fact. Somebody's a big Roger Federer fan.
All right.
August birthday. Nobody said Mack Brown, though. That should have been me. When they said Roger Federer, I should have stepped up for Mack Brown. That's on me. His birthday is today, 73 years old. I think it's fair to ask. 73 years old. Retirement near for old Coach Brown?
People have been asking that for a couple years.
I know he always turns it down in emphatic fashion.
And he does, absolutely.
By the way, retirement, the question I'm asking is not, is he going to be just, sitting at home fishing or whatever he likes to do? I'm thinking transition to the front office might be a move. Let him pick his successor. There's so many of these front office positions now in college football that are kind of new. If you're raising money, I can't think of anyone better than having Mack Brown around your facility, entertaining the collectives and negotiating with players on how much and everything else. I want Mack Brown to be a part of UNC football forever and ever, but I also acknowledge that there's probably going to be a point in time where he doesn't want to, be at the morning practices and training camp at 4:30 in the morning. Just, he's in his 70s. He can go with Coach K and rep out bench press, although they probably aren't. They might be cordial. They wear different shades of blue. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. That is number 3. Should we go a little Canes here with number 2, or should we give a fan football flyaway? Fan football flyaway. It is time for our 5 o'clock keyword in our fan football flyaway, sponsored by the fabulous Mandalay Bay Hotel, Atlantic Spas and Billiards, Buffalo Brothers, and Newcomb & Company. This hour's word is gear. G-E-A-R. Gear. Dennis, can you use it in a sentence?
I hope our offense gets past first gear and gets rolling this season.
Very good use of the word gear.
Thank you.
This hour's word is gear. Text GEAR, G-E-A-R, to 919-860-5326 and enter for your chance to win a trip for 2 to Las Vegas. I'm just going to, in theater of the mind, paint a picture for you. Let's say you win. You get the tickets to go see Carolina and Vegas play. You get the flights, the room, the food cash. You get it all. Luxurious trip to Vegas. Now, here's the part that I want you to imagine. Think of yourself calling the person that you would invite with you, because you get a trip for 2. Think of yourself calling the person who you would invite along and saying, hey, what are you doing the weekend when Carolina and Vegas play? And when they go, no, I got no plans. Might watch a game I'm going to get up with a friend. You go, nope, I'm taking you to Vegas. Not we're going to Vegas. Not, hey, get your credit card out. I need you to book flights. Say, I'm taking you to Vegas. I got the flights. I got the room. I got the food. I got the tickets. All we need is you, me, and Sin City. Pretty cool little imaginary situation there. It doesn't have to be imaginary. Text GEAR, G-E-A-R, to 919-860-5326 before 6 o'clock. The keyword expires at 6. So if you get that in before 6 o'clock, you will have an entry into our fan football flyaway. This hour's word is gear, G-E-A-R. The number is 919-860-5326. The next keyword will be tomorrow in the noon hour during the Adam Gold Show right here on 99.9 The Fan. Again, tomorrow at noon, the next keyword.
What's the last day for keywords so people know?
Thursday is the last day for keywords, and then we will announce the winner on Friday.
Okay.
So someone is going to get a trip for 2 to Vegas this week.
That's awesome.
If you want it to be even possibly or potentially you have to text in these keywords. Gear to 919-860-5326. And again, listen in tomorrow during the noon hour for the next keyword. Now let's jump back into the starting 5 with number 2.
Just the 2 of us.
I'll put it on you, Dennis. Earlier today during Copper Drop, you put it on me.
Okay.
Will the Canes and Seth Jarvis reach an agreement on a long-term deal by the time, I'll put it this way, by the time the NFL regular season kicks off?
Oh, so by Thursday of next week?
That is a week from Thursday.
Copping that, yes.
You are, okay.
I think so, because here's the reason why. Because if he's technically not under contract, I don't think he's allowed into the team facility, I think, just by
He is not
rules.
on the official roster right now.
So I'm sure he wants to get back into town and start skating with the guys.
And
you kind of have to have a contract to do that, I would guess, to go into the facility, work out with Bill Burniston, the strength coach, get out on the ice with the guys, and do all the things that you want to do. Got to have a contract. Got to be under contract to do those things. I think it actually happens by this weekend.
I tend to agree with that. I do think it could be pure comedy, though. If Seth Jarvis rolls in with, like, Aho, they're joking. Maybe there's like a Jack Drury involved. They're just rolling in, getting ready to work out. And like the bouncer has to step in front of Seth and go, sorry, you're not on the list.
Oh.
What list is that? The official roster? Buddy, you haven't signed a contract yet. But I'm Seth Jarvis. I know.
Trust me, we all know who you are.
Yeah, we want you here. I wish we could let you in. I'd sneak him in if we're being honest. Maybe him and Aho can do like, two kids in a trench coat thing, like Little Rascals. Just have Seth Jarvis get on top of Sebastian Aho's shoulders, roll in as one. But the Canes offseason, the reason why I bring it up is I do think tomorrow we're going to get distracted, right? Starting Wednesday, the day before State plays, the day before UNC plays. This summer we've had a lot of time to focus on what we want to see from the Canes offseason. Once everything gets rolling, I think we're gonna tend to be a little distracted, and rightfully so, right? Escape from your worries with sports. That's what it's there for. So if your worry is Seth Jarvis, you're gonna use football to escape from your worries. Let's get it done so we don't have to worry at all. How about that, Canes? And Seth Jarvis's representation. As number 2, let's jump to number 1.
The one!
Panthers cut a whole bunch of guys today. Now, it's more nuanced than that, but you could just say it is that. 29 players either waived or released. All right, if you're a younger player, you're waived, which means every other team gets a chance to claim you. If you are a veteran, a vested veteran, as they call it, you are just released and you're free to sign with anybody immediately. You can also wait around for the Panthers. So I'm going to try to not do this overly nerdy, okay? I'll try to do this as simply as possible. Right now, the Panthers are down to 53 names on their roster. That's what they had to be at 4 o'clock this afternoon. They also have 2 players, which is the max, on IR designated to return. These are players that are hurt that they want to be allowed to play this year. You're allowed 2 of those. You can put unlimited players, keep them in your franchise on the season-ending IR, but if you want them to play again, you only get 2. So that's essentially 55 guys, right? The 53 on the roster, the 2 designated for return. Tomorrow, once the 53 men become official, right, waivers clear and all that, you can put more players from that 53-man roster on IR designated to return, which will then open up spots on your roster, your 53-man, to go claim guys that you may have waived today. I hope that wasn't too crazy. What that means is guys like Mike Boone, who's a veteran running back for the Panthers, really any of your veterans who are not due to waivers, you can guarantee them you're going to have them back, essentially, right? You could say something along the lines of, hey, we're going to release you now, but if you wait till 2 days, we will put Joe Schmo, one of our 53 men, on IR, and that spot is yours. You just have to give us 2 days. Like, those little roster nuances are just something that just one very, very small part of how the Panthers roster is complete, kind of, but it's also nowhere near complete, right? Guys like Jack Plummer, the quarterback who played most of the preseason for the Panthers, he was waived today. He will likely be put on the practice squad, and his journey with the Panthers will continue. Guys like maybe a DiCaprio Boodle, right? Or a cornerback, probably a similar fate. If he passes through waivers, they'll bring him back. Terrace Marshall Jr. was waived today. I don't think he'll be back on the practice squad.
It's the end of an era.
I think he will be claimed by someone else in the NFL, and his journey will continue on another team's end of their bench, potentially inactive on game day, just like he was last year for the Panthers. The Panthers, even the players they kept, right? You think, I made a 53-man roster. I'm on an official NFL roster. Yahoo even that isn't exactly what it seems. Right now, the Panthers have 10 offensive linemen on their 53-man roster. 10. I do not see them keeping 10 on their active roster all season. I don't see them keeping 10 guys on their active roster on the offensive line 10 days. Now, what that might mean is a few of them might be targeted for IR, which they need to make it through their 53-man first, or they might be waiting to see what kind of offensive linemen they can get off waivers, and then they will cut players based on that. I think you could say the same for wide receivers. I don't think they're keeping 7 into any significant stretch of their season, which is what they have on the 53-man right now. I don't think they're keeping 7 defensive line. And that's just defensive line, not including the outside linebackers that line up an edge rush quite a bit. Like 7 defensive linemen feels a little rich. So the bubble guys that made it, right? The Jaden Crummities, who's a defensive lineman. The Jaden Peavies, who's a defensive lineman. Andrew Rame, the center. David Moore and Jalen Coker, a couple of wide receivers. They made the 53-man, and I wouldn't even celebrate, right? I would treat it like today wasn't cut down day at all, because tomorrow might be cut down day for you.
I think noon tomorrow is when waiver claims officially go through.
And all that would mean is then you're being released by your team a day later, so a bunch of other teams have filled roster spots. Like, it's the way that the end of the roster guys are treated in the NFL is brutal. And I don't know if there's a better way to do it, but it is brutal. And it's funny because you have to, like, the NFLPA has to protect everybody. There was a proposal that NFL teams could keep 3 quarterbacks and have 1 not count against their active roster. Mm-hmm. And it would essentially be the, what do they call it in hockey? The emergency goalie?
Yeah, the emergency backup goaltender.
Yeah, the e-bug. It would essentially be that. Like, you're not on the roster, but you're on the team. And if that third quarterback goes in, then the first 2 quarterbacks are not allowed to go back in. So you only do it when they're hurt and out for the game. That was turned down. Do you know why? Because the NFLPA said that sounds like you're going to be able to stash quarterbacks and not promote them, and also like they might have an opportunity to make more money elsewhere, but you're just going to stash them on the end of the roster. So for like the one team that would have 3 starting caliber quarterbacks, it would be really messed up for that third quarterback to not be able to go explore his options. For everyone else, it would just be a really cool deal for an end-of-the-bench quarterback to stay on with the team and have some stability and try to develop. But the PA, the Players Association, has to look out for those starting caliber quarterbacks too, so they nixed the proposal. And it's like, another way the end of the roster doesn't get the benefit because you have to protect, the one team that might have too many good quarterbacks. It's brutal. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. We do have to get a couple of numbers game contestants, but before we do that, I want to tell you what's going on with DraftKings. Tim Donnelly here for DraftKings Sportsbook. And look, we had an appetizer last week, but we're still hungry. Hungry for more football. Now it's time to feast. College football is back. Week 0 was great, but don't miss any of the action with a full slate of games on Week 1. Jump in with DraftKings Sportsbook, including that big old matchup down in Atlanta between the preseason number 1 and number 16 teams. This is going to be DraftKings' biggest college football season to date, so enjoy the ride now all the way through the expanded playoffs. Plus, all newbies getting into the college football spirit, maybe for the first time, here's something extra special. DraftKings customers, new, emphasis on new DraftKings customers can bet $5 to get $250 in bonus bets instantly. Score big with DraftKings all college football season long. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code TIMD. That's TIMD as a code when you sign up for new customers to get $250 in bonus bets the very first time you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 877-185-543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov. 21 plus, North Carolina only. Eligibility restrictions apply. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/ftball. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan, is getting ready to play the numbers game. and we need 2 contestants. The winner of the numbers game will win a $25 gift card to Sammy's Tap and Grill, your go-to spot for great food and catching the big game, located at 235 Avent Ferry Road in Raleigh. If you want to play the numbers game to win the prize, you got to call in now. We need 2 contestants. 919-860-5326. That's 919-860-5326. Numbers game coming up next.
We're kicking it this fall with college football. Join 99.9 The Fan all season long and catch your favorite teams in action. The ACC, the SEC, and every conference that matters. You'll find the best matchups here.
Jordan Moore delivers, and the Blue Devils have the lead.
College football on 99.9 The Fan is brought to you by Wilkinson Chevrolet Cadillac Buick GMC in Sanford and by Amedios.
Picture this, the perfect summer barbecue. No stress, no responsibilities, just all your friends, burgers sizzling, hot dogs cooking, Pepsi Zero Sugar fizzing, and a backyard of very, very happy people. Oh yeah, we could get used to this. Very, very used to this. Grilling, better with Pepsi.
Join Pepsi at Carrie's Coca-Booth Amphitheater to see kids music superstar Lori Berkner on September 15th.
It's bow time. It's not just football season. It's tailgate season. And that includes every kind of football, whether it's got goalkeepers or goalposts. The kick is good! Because it doesn't matter where or how you tailgate. When you've got crispy chicken and fluffy buttermilk biscuits from Bojangles, your tailgate is better than great. It's legendary. Head to Bojangles and order your tailgate box with boldly seasoned chicken, fixins, biscuits, and legendary iced tea today. It's bow time.
Planning a tailgate? Then it's bow time. Bojangles has everything you need for the perfect tailgate, no matter how many fans you're trying to feed. There's the original tailgate, the super tailgate, and for a really big crowd, the jumbo tailgate special. And if you like your chicken off the bone, choose the Supreme's tailgate special that includes 12 perfectly seasoned tenderloin fillets. So grab the tickets, get that Bojangles tailgate special, and go. It's bow time.
This is Gordon Miller from Miller Lending in Cary. Date the rate, marry the house. A phrase often used by realtors to describe the difference between keeping your new forever home as opposed to your mortgage rate, which you'll only keep until something better comes along, kind of like speed dating. A recent study by the Wall Street Journal further supports this notion by finding the average life of a loan to be less than 4 years. Their suggestion? Find a no-fee loan, which is exactly what Miller Lending has been telling you since 1996. With no closing costs of any kind, you can simply close on today's rates and refinance each time something better comes along. So while builders promote buy-downs with over $10,000 in closing costs, or lenders advertise crazy low rates with even more, Miller Lending continues to be the leader in the no-cost mortgage. So before you throw away thousands of needless fees, pick up the phone and call your local neighborhood lender, Miller Lending in Cary, 919-447-3377, or simply apply online at millerlending.com. Miller Lending is an equal housing lender, NMLS number 250-2146.
Lowe's knows Labor Day calls for big savings. Right now, get up to 40% off select major appliances. Plus, save up to $750 when you buy 2 or more select major appliances priced $396 or more. And My Lowe's Rewards members get 3 bags of premium 2 cubic foot color mulch for just $10. Because Lowe's knows home improvement. Valid through 9/4 while supplies last. Program subject to terms and conditions. Details at lowes.com/terms. Subject to change. Mulch offer excludes Alaska and Hawaii.
It is time to play the numbers game. Here on The Drive with Tim Donnelly on 99.9 The Fan. The contestants are Rob in Goldsboro and Ryan in Raleigh. The prize is a $25 gift card to Sammy's Tap and Grill. And, as always, we have to ask a question to see who gets to go first. And Dennis, with you being the producer, you get to be the judge that decides who wins.
No pressure.
Do you mind if I tell people where you're going to be chilling over the next 3 days?
Oh, sure.
All right. Dennis is going to be in Washington, D.C.
That's right.
Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday this week. So if you're out that way, you see him, say hi. We'll ask Rob in Goldsboro. What's the best part about D.C.? If somebody's going to spend some time in the Washington District of Columbia, what's your advice for them to do? Let's give Dennis some ideas.
Ooh.
And if you've never been, make something up.
I just love the monuments, like the Washington Monument, the Lincoln Monument.
Very cool. I agree. That's like you feel like you're on a high school field trip, but then you're enjoying it, so you go anyway. Rob?
Just to let you, whoever, sorry, bad with names, who's ever going to the sea, if you go to the Lincoln Monument, there's a mistake in the address.
Okay. All right. Yeah, we'll check it out. I'm sure that's online somewhere. Ryan and Raleigh, you are up next. Same question to you. If somebody's spending some time in Washington, D.C., what advice would you give them? What do they have to go see?
The Spy Museum.
The Spy Museum?
Great. It's just about all spies and different things, and it's really neat.
All right. I don't know if I've ever heard that recommendation. Dennis, which one do you like the most?
The Spy Museum is high on the list.
Really?
So yes, I'm probably going to go Spy Museum on this one. I actually didn't realize that there was a mistake on the Lincoln Memorial. I think I may have known that, but I may have forgotten it.
Sounds like something that was in a Nicolas Cage movie.
I think so, actually. Maybe we'll find a buried treasure somewhere.
So is Ryan the winner?
I'm going to go with Ryan. I'm going to go with the Spy Museum.
But don't worry, Rob.
All right.
Don't worry, Rob. You'll have your chance. Ryan, I think you just said all right. Are you ready to roll?
Yes, sir.
All right. The categories you get to choose from are NFL All-Decade Team of the 2000s, NFL 2009 All-Rookie Team, NBA Current Players Only, or NHL Canes and Whalers Only.
Let's go Canes and Whalers.
All right. I like it. The way this works, I'll give you the team and the player. I will say the team, even though you know it in this category, just to keep it fair timing-wise with the other categories. Once I give you the team and the player, give me the jersey number as quickly as you can. There will be 30 seconds on the clock. You have one pass if you need it. Does that all make sense?
Yes, sir.
All right. Your time will start when you hear the horn. Seth Jarvis, Carolina Hurricanes.
16.
Incorrect. Jordan Stahl, Carolina Hurricanes.
11.
Correct. Michael Bunting, Carolina Hurricanes.
60.
Incorrect. Seth Jarvis, Carolina Hurricanes.
24.
Correct. Manny Mal. You took a while to answer, but you got two of them. So, it could have been worse. I give this advice out a lot, but keep firing, right? If you're going to be thinking, if you're going to be thinking, might as well throw a number out. But you got Seth Jarvis.
I got a helper. My son knows the Canes better than I do, so I'm trying to get him to filter me the answers. He knows the Canes well.
playing a little game of telephone there. Seth Jarvis with 24, you got it. Jordan Stahl with 11, you got it. Michael Bunting wore number 58 with the Canes. And I was getting to Manny Malhotra on that last one. Didn't get a chance to finish the name, but it was 22 there for those of you that may have heard Manny and knew what was going on. But 2 is the number. Sit on hold. We'll see if it holds up. That brings us to Rob in Goldsboro. Rob, are you there?
Yes, sir.
All right. The categories remaining for you are NFL All-Decade Team of the 2000s, NFL 2009 All-Rookie Team, or NBA Current Players Only.
Let's go NFL 2000.
All right. These are all players that were on the All-Decade Team of the 2000s, so 2000 to 2009. Yep. I will give you the team and the player. Give me the jersey number quickly as you can. 30 seconds on the clock. One pass if you need it. You need 3 for the win. Is there any questions before we jump in?
No, sir.
All right. Your time will start when you hear the horn. Peyton Manning, Indianapolis Colts.
17.
Incorrect. Jamal Lewis, Baltimore Ravens.
24.
Incorrect. Peyton Manning, Indianapolis Colts.
7.
Incorrect. Jamal Lewis, Baltimore Ravens.
28.
Incorrect. Peyton Manning, Indianapolis Colts.
Pass.
Tony Gonzalez, Kansas City Chiefs.
78.
Incorrect. Jamal Lewis, Baltimore Ravens.
27.
It's It's a little different when that timer starts, huh?
Yeah.
Peyton Manning with the Colts, number 18.
18.
Yeah. How about that? We're at 18. Is what he says when he passes by roulette tables. Jamal Lewis, Baltimore Ravens, number 31. And Tony Gonzalez with the Chiefs was double ochos, 88. Those are the ones you missed. Unfortunately, obviously not enough for the win, but hopefully you had some fun playing.
I had a great time. Thank you.
Appreciate it, and thank you for listening. That brings us to the winner, Ryan and Raleigh. There you go. Should we worry about some kind of like spy earpiece that was feeding you the answers since you went spy museum on us? Yeah.
No, not at all.
It was all you and your son. Congratulations. You win the gift card to Sammy's Tap and Grill. All you have to do is stay on the line and give some info to Dennis.
Sounds good. Thanks.
Once again, a $25 gift card to Sammy's Tap and Grill, your go-to spot for great food and catching the big game, located at 2235 Avent Ferry Road in Raleigh. Also, we'll play again tomorrow at 5:30. So if you heard the game, you want to play, you want to go for a perfect score, about 5:30 tomorrow, we'll be playing the numbers game once again. Also, on Thursday, we'll play the numbers game, but I will be live outside Carter Finley in the plaza. Join the drive live from Carter Finley Stadium on Thursday afternoon as we pack for the Pack home opener. You can pack the Pack home opener. Served up by Carolina Ale House. Back the Pack at Carolina Ale House this season with award-winning wings and ice-cold pints. With wall-to-wall TVs, Carolina Ale House is your go-to spot for every game. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. We'll be back with more talk about the Carolina Panthers roster, what we like, what we don't like about the 53 men on the roster as it sits right now. Stick around.
BetMGM presents Upping the Action with Jamie Foxx.
When you bet this baseball season, you're not just watching the game. You're in it with the bases loaded, bottom of the ninth. Your money line is on the line. With a drive to left field, the runner goes home. That's your money line, and you called it from the top of the first. It's raining popcorn and sunflower seeds. This baseball season, download the BetMGM app.
And get up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win.
BetMGM and GameSense remind you to play responsibly. See BetMGM.com for terms. 21 plus only. U.S. promotional offers not available in Nevada, New York, Ontario, or Puerto Rico. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Available in the U.S. for New York. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. Arizona, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP. Massachusetts, 1-800-327-5050. Iowa, 1-800-BETS-OFF. Puerto Rico, call 1-800-981-0023. West Virginia, visit www.1800gambler.net. First bet offer for new customers only, subject to eligibility requirements. Rewards are non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire in 7 days. In partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel.
Is that your new Nissan Rogue? Yeah. Crazy story. I'm at the Nissan end of summer sales event when Laura, the saleswoman, asks, "Want to test drive the Rogue?" I'm like, "Let's go." We're driving when Laura says,
"Want to see something cool? VC turbo engine."
I hit the gas and whoosh. I'm like, okay, wasn't expecting that. Laura goes,
"Check this out."
She shows me the miles per gallon, and I'm like, wow, that's pretty impressive fuel economy.
These new Nissan Rogues are going fast.
I knew I had to have that Nissan Rogue. Crazy, right?
Wait till you hear how I got my Nissan Sentra. Get up to $2,500 total savings on remaining select early model 2024 Rogue Platinum trims. 2024 EPA fuel economy estimates from 28 city 34 highway to 30 city 37 highway for 2024 Nissan Rogue. Actual mileage may vary. Total savings consists of $1,250 retail customer cash plus $1,250 bonus cash on select remaining 2024 Rogue inventory as available at your local dealership. Select Rogue bonus cash available on 40% of dealers' most aged inventory. Updated weekly. Available on purchase from new dealer stock. Contact your local dealer for current inventory information. Ends 9/3/24.
You know it's going to be a good day when your biggest concern in the morning is collecting the crumbs falling from the McDonald's crispy chicken biscuit. Your only concern should be, has your day peaked too early?
Start your morning off on a high note when you save on a warm and buttery crispy chicken biscuit for just $2.50. Only at McDonald's.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Price and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer or combo meal.
Mortgage rates have plummeted, and Loan Pronto clients are locking in the lowest rates we've seen in years. Hey, it's Rod Brind'Amour, founder and CEO of Loan Pronto. It's happening. We are finally locking APRs in the 5s, something we haven't seen for a long time. If that sky-high rate is killing you or you need to get cash out of your home equity, now is the time to take action. Or listen, even if you want to keep that first mortgage rate intact, you can take advantage of lower rates with our Equity Express line of credit. We're seeing homeowners take 50, 75, 200 grand or more out of their equity and wiping out that high interest debt with an average savings of $850 per month. Bottom line, your home value is way up and mortgage rates have come way down, making this a great time to act. Call today for a 30-second rate quote. Do it now, and you can even skip your next 2 mortgage payments. 919-381-1760. 919-381-1760. LoanPronto.com. 919-381-1760.
Equal housing lender. NMLS 166-1781. Subject to lender approval. NMLS consumeraccess.org.
eBay Motors is here for the ride. Go ahead, feel your engine. Admire that perfectly installed exhaust. Your vehicle's moving along this freeway like it was made from fresh installs and a whole lot of love. With eBay Motors, you get over 122 million parts to keep it running. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, they'll be the perfect fit every time. Plus, at these prices, well, we're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
This hour of The Drive brought to you by The Good Feet Store. Ready to step into a healthy and active lifestyle? Come to The Good Feet Store and experience the difference. Discover how a simple step can lead to a life of pain-free possibilities.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. So today is a day with a lot of moving pieces in the NFL. There's a lot of this player on waivers, this player traded, this player, blah, 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 and it just kind of goes on and on and on. I'm going to put my hands up. I think I may have led you astray on the Deontay Foreman. Not saying Deontay Foreman wasn't released by the Browns. He was. That's factual. So I guess technically I didn't mislead you. I think this is a situation where he's a vested veteran, so he is not going on waivers. So it's not like any other team can just say, I want you, and he has to go there. I think this is the Browns. The Browns have 4 quarterbacks that are on their 53-man roster.
They do.
They have their starter in Deshaun Watson, their backup, who they've told is on the roster to start the year, Dorian Thompson-Robinson. Then they have Jameis Winston and Tyler Huntley, 2 guys that have both been to the Pro Bowl. I think it's pretty obvious that they've told Deontay Foreman, hey, we're going to release you, but just sit tight. We're going to try to trade one of these quarterbacks, at least one, maybe 2, and once we do that, we're bringing you back. If we can't, we'll cut one of these guys and bring you back. Mm-hmm. So, Panthers fans, I know that whatever it was, that 8 games under Steve Wilkes, where it was Deontay Foreman and Chuba Hubbard right, and then Deontay Foreman and Chuba Hubbard left, and you mowed it down everyone's throats, and they won 6 games, and everybody was excited about it.
And it was awesome.
I know you long for those days. I want to make sure I don't participate in you getting your hopes up for a Deontay Foreman reunion, especially until Jonathan Brooks is healthy. I think he's waiting around for Cleveland to clear that roster spot, and then he'll bounce right back.
I think that same thing applies to what Carolina's doing with Mike Boone, the running back.
Perhaps.
Because I think there might be 1 or 2 guys on the Panthers roster that they might look to move down to injured reserve with a designation to return. And they already used the 2 spots they had with Dane Jackson and Sam Franklin. So the other guys have to be on their 53. So I'm wondering if that's going to be the case. If it's a Jaden Crumedy who hasn't played since the New England Patriots preseason game, 2 weeks ago. Is it him that gets moved down to IR? Okay, then you can re-sign Mike Boone and up until Jonathan Brooks comes back. Carolina's kind of in that same boat.
The only caveat I would add there is the Panthers do have the number 1 waiver priority.
They do.
So if there is a running back, they might have told Mike Boone, 95% we're going to be bringing you back next week. If a running back that they weren't expecting to be released around the league was released and they want to bring them in, then I think that person would take the roster spot. But it's very, 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 very possible that 48 hours from now, Mike Boone is right back on the roster in that fourth running back / special teamer spot, which I think he fills well. Speaking of the Panthers roster and injuries, they did put a handful of players on the physically unable to perform list. Now, this is different than IR designated to return. The PUP list, physically unable to perform list, is the same as the non-football injury list, which is kind of the same as designated to return in that if you're on these lists, you're not playing the first 4 games of the season no matter what. You're not allowed to. You have a miraculous recovery. Week 2, you feel great. You can't play the first 4 weeks no matter what. The difference for physically unable to perform and non-football injury is you had to be on these lists from the beginning of training camp. So the players that we're about to discuss now are players that have not practiced at all this training camp, which is different than the guys that are on the designated to return list, of which you're only allowed 2. Jonathan Brooks is on the non-football injury list, second-round pick running back. He will not be eligible to play for the first 4 games of the season. Amari Barno, pass rusher, is on the physically unable to perform list to begin the season. He will not be eligible to play the first 4 games of the season. And DJ Wanham is on the physically unable to perform list, an edge rusher. He will not be eligible for the first 4 games. 2 of those I have no problem with. 1 of those, I need some explanation. Jonathan Brooks, I need no explanation. You drafted him knowing he was coming off a major knee injury. The only reason he was probably available where you picked him is because he was coming off a major knee injury. So this is you like taking your medicine for getting the value on the player in the mid to late second round, right? If he didn't have the knee injury, he probably would have been a early second or late first round pick. You would have had to spend much more to get him. Putting him on PUP or the non-football injury list, missing him for the first month at least, that's just the cost of doing business. Amari Barno, I have no problems with. He's a player that got hurt while on your roster last year. That happens. If he's not ready for the next year, you have no choice, but injuries happen in football. The DJ Wanham one, I need an explanation. I was excited about DJ Wanham.
I think a lot of people were.
When they signed him, I believe we were in
Washington, D.C. at ACC football or ACC basketball.
Exactly. I'm glad my memory is adding up. ACC tip-off. They signed him. I was excited about it. He was an experienced edge rusher with experience, in the system, kind of similar systems. And if you put him opposite of Jadeveon Clowney, he was, for lack of a better term, and I say this as a compliment, more than good enough. Right?
Mm-hmm.
You're not expecting 10 sacks, you're not expecting a Pro Bowl, but like if you're double teaming everybody else, he can beat the one-on-one occasionally enough to make you pay. Now, we knew he was hurt then at the signing, but when you sign a guy to that deal, essentially 2 years, $12 million?
2 years, $12.5 million.
What that action was telling me was the Panthers have gone through their medical exploration of his injury, and they are comfortable that he'll be impactful this season. Well, guess what? Now that he's on the PUP list, he's not playing the first 4 games, which means you're already down to 13 games at best for a $4.125 million cap hit this season. And if you keep him around next year, $6 million, but I'm guessing they're going to move on from him or ask him to restructure. $4.125 million cap hit this year's for, at best, 13 games. That's a miscalculation by the people that signed him. It's a miscalculation by whatever trainers were advising them or doctors, whoever looked at the medicals. $4.125 million this team could use. Do you know what the difference was between the cap space the Panthers had and what Stephon Gilmore signed for with the Minnesota Vikings? Just a hair under $4 million. Almost exactly what you gave DJ Wanham, and your edge rushers wouldn't be in any different situation because Wanham's not playing anyway. Or K'Lavon Chaisson, right? He's a player you brought in to be an edge rusher, to be a depth edge piece. Cost $5 million.
$5 million.
You take the cap hit away from DJ Wanham, you get 2 swings at players like K'Lavon Chaisson. right? You get 2 swings at guys with upside who might be something. Now you have just one of those. Veteran free agents that you signed to one of the bigger deals that you gave out this offseason, particularly on the defense, right? There's A'Shawn Robinson who got a bunch, and then there's kind of this there's Jadeveon Clowney who got a bunch, then there's kind of DJ Wanham is that next tier of player. When you're talking about your 3rd, 4th biggest acquisition of an offseason on the defense, and you didn't draft many defensive players very highly, you need to make sure they're at least out there to start the season. Now, if they play the first month and get hurt, again, it's football. Those things happen. You brought this guy onto your team hurt, and he's still hurt. And you didn't get the discount, by the way. It's not like the Jonathan Brooks thing where I'm like, hey, you drafted him late because he's hurt, so you kind of got to put up with him being hurt. It's kind of the way it works. You don't get to, draft him later because he's hurt and then not have to deal with the injury. That's not how life happens. So if there's one complaint I have, I actually think they handled the cuts pretty well, right? Jordan Matthews, some people would want on there. Maybe he gets picked up after IR designations. Maybe he goes somewhere else. I'm not going to split hairs about the 52nd to 56th best player on the roster for the Panthers. If you need to have a complaint, the only one I have is DJ Wanham on PUP looks like a severe miscalculation of the health of a player that you signed this offseason. And that leads to wasted money, and that leads to a few other things, and this isn't a team that can be wasting money. Especially because you're wasting a bunch of money on Von Bell, give him $6 million against the cap to go. He's playing for the Bengals. Hayden Hurst, I think you gave him $5 million against the cap to go play. And what is it with the Chargers?
Both those guys are actually closer to $9 million.
Sheesh. Even in, I thought their cap hits were a little lower, but maybe not.
That's what it is.
Gosh,
I did the math.
So you can't afford to give DJ Wanham $4 million against the cap to be hurt for the first 4 games. You've already lit enough money on fire, trying to make up for the mistakes of the old regime. This is a mistake of the Dan Morgan regime. He better have, I said I wasn't expecting 10 sacks. He better have 10 sacks in those last 13 games now. Make up for it. Get your first 4 games worth of value in the last 13 games. That's if you're even healthy enough to play in the last 13 games, right? Just because you're not eligible to play in the first 4 doesn't mean you're definitely waiting at the gate to get back on the field for week 5. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Don't forget this hour's keyword, and it's only alive for another 5 minutes when it comes to our fan football flyaway, is GEAR, G-E-A-R. Text it into 919-860-5326 within the next 5 minutes, and it just might win you a trip for 2 to Vegas. Tickets to see Carolina and Vegas play football, a whole bunch of stuff. Rooms, flights, GEAR. Text it in. That's the key word to 919-860-5326. Dennis, you're out for the rest of the week until after the holidays, so we will see you in
literally in a week.
Literally a week. Have a great week.
Thank you. Enjoy all the football, folks.
Yeah, you're darn right. For everybody else, we'll be back here at 3 o'clock tomorrow to break down everything going on in the sports world. Look forward to it. Until then, have a great night, everybody, and follow us on YouTube at 99.9 The Fan.
Atlantic Spas and Billiards, Buffalo Brothers, and Newcomb & Company want you to see football live in Las Vegas. It's our Fan Football Flyaway. Listen weekdays through August 29th. We'll reveal keywords every hour from noon to 6. Text in the keywords to enter for chances to win a trip for 2 to Las Vegas. We'll fly you to an amazing room at the Mandalay Bay Hotel and Casino, and we'll hook you up with seats for the Carolina-Las Vegas game. The Fan Football Flyaway, only on 99.9 The Fan.
Viva Las Vegas.
Let's go Pack. Back the Pack at Carolina Ale House this season with award-winning wings and ice-cold pints. With wall-to-wall TVs, Carolina Ale House is the go-to spot for every game. From Honey Buffalo to 5 Alarm to Carolina Barbecue, we've got wings for all flavors. Grab a front row seat, sip on your favorite beer, and cheer on our boys in red. With homemade food and daily drink specials, you can huddle up at our house for every game. Carolina Ale House, your home for football. Hell yeah!
Is your heating and air system ready for hot weather? Call Newcomb & Company today to schedule a routine maintenance and ensure your system is operating at peak performance. Become a Comfort Contract customer to receive priority service and a 15% discount on service calls and repairs for HVAC and plumbing work. Newcomb & Company has served the area as a Carrier Factory authorized dealer for more than 3 generations. Turn to the experts today. Call 919-862-3000 or find us at newcombandcompany.com. Newcomb & Company and Carrier. Your comfort is our business.
Hey everyone, it's Ted from Consumer Cellular, the guy in the orange sweater, and this is your wake-up call. If you're paying too much for wireless service, you don't have to keep having that nightmare.